Nothing but podcast. All right.
With Jesse
And Olaf.
And Menno.
and today we're going to talk about a book we've read,
Nice book.
a really nice book. And Menno, why don't you explain how we got to this idea and the moments leading up to this?
Yeah, so for our language development log, we decided to read a book.
Yeah.
It was
Mhm.
actually that simple, I think. We just started with a thought. That
Yeah.
just went along. So we went to, what's the bookstore called?
Van der Velde.
Van der
Yeah.
Velden. Yes, that's correct.
And, we kind of struggled finding a book, because we found this one. I found this one.
Yeah, Menno picked this one up.
I found this one.
This book was the first one we picked up,
Yeah,
but
Menno
ended up
came with
searching
it.
for another hour.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
basically we've been in there in the bookstore for like hour and a half.
Yeah,
Because we
I
also
would say an hour.
went upstairs and looked at the second-hand
yeah,
book.
that's true.
And
We're also-
we were just fooling around there
And
making
then,
all kind of jokes.
so we picked this book. I read the backside of it.
yeah,
I read a bit inside, and I thought, yes, this is a great book.
Yeah.
So we went to the register, but
they only had one.
they only had one.
Only one copy.
And
Yeah.
that meant we
Yeah,
had
was-
to order two others,
Yeah.
which we didn't
But
mind.
wait, I feel like we're skipping out on the other book weeks. We have not, because there was one
Which one?
other
Yeah.
candidate, which
Yeah.
was the one about the coffee shop. Well, not
Yeah,
coffee shop, about the man
the coffee
who wanted
business.
to make coffee business in
You
India.
found this,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like with
that
a
book is
war,
a bit
some
thicker.
war story.
Yeah,
Some
the water was
civil
possibly very
war or
interesting.
something. But
I'm really glad we chose this one because I
do.
the
I agree.
vocabulary used is extraordinary. It's
Yeah.
great. It's great.
I'm thankful for Menno that he perceived, that he pursued, or how do you say it? He didn't give up on this book.
Yeah.
He just kept, no guys, we're going to use this one, not the
He
other
kept the pursuit.
Well,
up.
one. Yeah, he kept the pursuit up.
In
Like-
his quest.
like the backside
Square.
really got me.
It's written inside.
The backside really got me. And then I just thought the book was,
That's
it just
funny.
read nicely.
This was funny because when I read the backside, it didn't do anything for me.
Which is weird, because
Yeah, which is
it
weird,
gives
yeah.
away so much.
Yeah, I share a different thought. I
Okay.
saw something else, but that is just
So-
our
so
different filters.
We had to get two other books. We had to order them,
Yes.
and then like a week later, we got them, and we started to read.
Yeah, we
and-
started to read.
Yeah,
Well, I
let's
think
let's
wait, well,
let's
we're-
tell
guys,
let's tell
guys,
which book this is.
we're missing one very important detail. What's the book called, and who's the author?
Yeah.
Did we already mention that?
No, that was-
So who's gonna do the author?
Yeah, just I give you my blessings on it. Go ahead.
Just give me a second.
It's his name.
Yes, this is it, right? Before I'm gonna
Yeah,
make a fool of
that's
myself.
the author. Yes.
Yeah.
This.
Can't really go wrong.
The author is John Williams, and the book title is Nothing But the Night.
That's
Yes.
correct.
Yes,
And it's a vintage classic.
it's a
So
vintage.
it's a
Yeah.
series of books, vintage classic.
Yeah.
You
And
think it
it-
would be a bright idea to read the
I
backside
wanted to do
submarine
that.
as a
As an IG.
idea of
what's-
what to expect,
what's what
yeah,
to
yeah.
expect.
Do you want to read the backside?
Yeah, of course. I like to go ahead. Alright.
And then the little story, not the.
Alright. I should I just like read out loud the whole backside,
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
only the
just,
small part. Alright.
just this because
Just
this
the
is
small
a
part. Yeah.
yeah.
Alright, here we go. Arthur Maxley is a tense and listless young man. One day he receives a letter from his long estranged father. Arthur's fear and aversion to the man is powerful, yet his compulsion to see his father is irresistible. After meeting, Arthur is propelled into a night of drinking and to spontaneous intimacy with a beautiful young woman. But as the memories of childhood trauma surface and disorientate, Arthur's night out rises towards the pitch of disaster.
Yeah.
So that's the back story. The story's on the back of the book, and I didn't really get any picture or an idea from what to expect from this book.
Well, it did. Would you say that it did
Spark your interest?
Yeah. Because it told. I mean, it's a direct spoiler of what's going to happen, because it literally says he's going to meet his father, then he's gonna drink.
Yeah.
Then
And we exactly now know.
situation's gonna get really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
did.
did give some insights.
It got bad.
It got bad,
But now,
which we will get into.
now thinking back to it, I don't know what I was thinking, because I can really remember it that I've read it.
Because I think
Specific.
it will be very interesting to hear out Jesse's point of view towards the book first, because
Yeah.
yours drastically changed.
Yeah, it did, because when I started to read this book, first of all, it was it's really a new experience for me, because I've never read this kind of books, because it was so linguistical, and the author uses such a broad vocabulary, and it was really slow paced, and there were a lot of words that I didn't know what I meant. I didn't recognize. But since we set a date to this podcast, and we kept each other accountable for actually reading the book, I just thought that I should just give it a try. I had to read it, because I paid €9 for it, so it would be a waste if I didn't finish the book. So then I just went through, and as the further I got in the book, the more I got into it, and it really
It sort of
hooked me.
gripped you.
Yeah, it really gripped me, and
Because I think you only read like the first part until the chapter ends.
yeah, like the introduction or the first passage,
Yeah.
and I just was like,
'Cause
alright, this is so fake and so strange.
Yeah. So I started reading, and because I couldn't sleep, that's why I started reading.
Yeah.
But like I got to the chapter, and then I had almost the same feeling, but then afterwards I was like grabbed by the next one.
Yeah, after the introduction, it was getting interesting after the introduction. There was a moment that I really got into it.
Yeah, and Jesse already told me, but you also feel a bit estranged from the first part of the book, right?
Yeah,
You didn't really
there's
understand
still
it.
slight confusion. I think we could talk about it later. I first want to know Olaf's opinion and what got him into this book. How he felt about the first part of it, and what really hooked him.
Two things played a big part in the forming of my opinion, because I was the last one to get the book due to the fact I chose to stay at home to work on this log.
Yeah.
So I wasn't there when you two picked it up. So before I actually got into reading, I already heard a few stories regarding the vocabulary and the way this author writes.
Yeah.
But so that already formed a very interesting, that already interested me a lot. But I also really like abstract movies, for example. I really like it when things are very slow paced. So
Could you give us an example of a movie, just to get the idea,
let's
what
see.
sort of
what's one of
movies
those
we
really
need?
weird? Have you seen The Great Lebowski? The movie
I've heard
itself?
of it. I've
only heard
Well,
of it.
it's an odd. It's a really. I mean, it's not. It's a bit of a comedy, but it's also really strange. It's really abstract.
Yeah, abstract.
So that's an example. Or The Men Who Stare at Goats, also a really strange one. No, all right.
I
Well,
don't recognize it for.
all in all, I really enjoyed the book from the start on, but I too had some difficulties understanding some sentences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Because
all
the
do.
way he phrases them is also
Yeah.
very intricate.
Yeah.
For example, where somebody said, "Oh, but he didn't understand,"
Yeah.
this outward user, but his understanding was far too fetched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so
He
you
uses
had to
such-
think about it.
yeah.
A different
once.
way of wording his,
Yeah.
his sentences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
Definitely.
really did. Such
It's
a
it's
neat
like an
way.
old
But I
type
got-
of English.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I
but
got
that's
used to
true.
it. I got used
Yeah,
to it.
you get used to
Because
it. That-
after
that's-
reading at least after reading the first 20 pages, you're so much into that way of speaking.
Yeah.
You just automatically follow. I
Yeah.
also had somehow every word I didn't know became much more clearer to me because
Yeah.
I could read the context a lot better as
Yeah.
well.
Yes.
So I read
Get the
through it
gist.
faster
Yes,
and
I see.
faster.
Yes.
Because I remember very vividly that it took me about 30 minutes to finish like 15 pages at first.
Yeah.
But then suddenly I was reading for an hour and I was 50 pages further because I just
Yeah.
started racing through the
Yeah,
lines. It was great.
I really agree. It was the same for me. Like the first 5 to 10 pages, I was just like every word I didn't know. I looked it up, but that really like halted my progression in this book.
Hmm.
And then I just thought like, what if I just read the context, like same as you did, and then I understood it. Even when I didn't know all the words, I still knew what the author meant.
Yeah.
By just reading the whole, just reading a couple sentences further.
Did you guys ever do poems or something like that?
For myself, each time I
Yeah,
get
yeah.
a bit more depressed.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
well,
I do
it's
some
well,
Why I'm
poetry,
saying this is because
making jokes.
this book made me feel a bit like reading a poem in the way that if you read a poem, you have a certain flow and you have to
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
into that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you go out of this poem world,
Yeah.
you're in the
Mhm.
real world. Let's say you're in the real world,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and then you're still like your head is still thinking in a poem's way, like
Mhm.
blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. But
And
I-
this book
yeah.
did that for me as well. So
Yeah. I thought
I
the
stopped.
way he described the woman at first was marvelous.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, up front, there was not a single moment I cried, but the moment that got me was when he described her because it was so vividly.
It was the woman he met at the end of
Yeah, the woman he
book.
met.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was.
yeah, that was so.
I'm not sure
beautiful.
how
That was
the
really-
author had pictured her in his head, but she
Yeah.
was a beauty of mine.
The funny thing
I
you
think
mentioned.
it was for everybody.
Yeah.
Funny thing you mentioned because the author was really did a really fantastic job at describing scenarios and really get you into this. Like when I wrote the book, I just could see it happening in front of me.
Yeah.
It was just
You wrote
such a
the book?
clear image.
You wrote the book?
When I read the book. Sorry for my mispronunciation. But when I read it, I just could see it literally happening in front of me. Just like I was experiencing it myself. He did
Yeah.
such a great job at describing it and specifying things. So my question to you guys is, what kind of image did you have with the main character, Arthur? What do you think he looked like?
Oh, yeah, that's really.
Because he describes his certain personality traits and.
So
like,
I thought in my head he was older. Turns out he isn't. He's only 24, I believe. I read.
Yeah,
yeah,
something like
somewhere
that.
around there.
But like if he describes, there was this moment where he is at his own mirror,
Yeah,
and then he
looked in his
describes
mirror.
himself looking in the
Yeah.
mirror,
Like his
also being
facial
estranged with
features.
himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like to me, that made him a bit older
Yeah.
instead of.
I just saw him as not necessarily older, but more like more unhealthy, because he
Yeah.
was an alcoholic.
Because the thing that really,
That's true.
I guess, drove my perception of him was the way he looked at himself in the dream, and then he described himself as really pale, very unhealthy pale, with these
and
really
like
red
this
lips,
dry skin,
and this dry
Yeah,
skin.
and his eyes back in his socket.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's how I pictured. I pictured him almost like an abnormality throughout the story, but not that I actually thought he looked like that, but more because it's the image he had of himself within the dream.
Yeah.
That's how I looked at it, because it's from his point of view. So
Mhm.
I felt like he thought of himself as nearly an ugly monster, or not a monster, but
Yeah.
It's like
like a
this.
decrepit human being.
Yeah.
And so for me, I now remember that the way I formed his face was through a movie called A Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
And it's
I
the
think we all-
animated version with Scrooge and then Jim Carrey doing his voice. And there's so he goes back into like his younger side because of the first spirit, and
Mhm.
Yeah.
and he sees himself, and that's kind of how I saw him, because I think he's a
Yeah.
pretty tall guy.
Oh, he was like
Right?
slim. He was like
Yeah.
a lanky, slim, thin guy.
Yeah.
A thin,
Yeah, thin
tall
guy.
guy.
I saw was if you look at the Joker from Suicide Squad, the actor who plays him.
Jared Leto.
That's kind of, I mean, not that
No.
kind of pale with all the makeup and
No.
stuff, but that's kind of how I saw him, because his eyes are also really deep.
Yeah, that's
It
true.
has this really
Yeah.
square,
Yeah,
narrow-
square face. and
face.
His face is quite
Sorry.
fallen in, so.
And then, so that's the image I coupled him with.
Yeah, I coupled him with. You guys know Bon Jovi, right?
Yeah,
And we all know. You guys know how Bon Jovi looks.
yeah.
What he
I
looks
think
like.
so.
I pictured him like.
Not Bon Jovi.
No. I pictured
His sister.
I pictured him like a really unhealthy Bon Jovi, like a skinnier version of Bon Jovi. With Bon Jovi has this wild hair and like this wild amount of bush of hair.
Well, you mean
His hair.
younger Bon Jovi?
Yeah, like
Alright.
younger Bon Jovi and more like skinnier, like an alcoholic version of Bon Jovi. Was
So
like
Bon Jovi
more-
in his younger years.
yeah, in his younger years, just more pale and like thinner hair and just a bit like nutrient
Depraved,
deficient.
yeah,
the
yeah.
nutrient depraved Bon Jovi. But because why I'm making that connection? Because my perception of Bon Jovi is like he's kind of a
Womanizer,
womanizer. And this guy ended up with a quite beautiful woman too.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't, if you are really just like ugly and alcoholic and really unhealthy looking, you're not getting like a beautiful girl.
Well, I
Easy,
have
so
to
you
mind you that the girl was indeed intoxicated.
yeah, she was very drunk.
If
So
I
I'm not
remember
sure,
correctly,
that's true.
that's the after describing her, that's the first thing he said. Not intoxicated,
No,
but there was something more. She was drunk, very
Yeah.
drunk.
Very
Meaning,
yeah, I was
the frame
the moment
was
he
not
goes for
because
her
of passion, but because of
yeah.
what was support.
Yeah, she was.
Yes,
she needed to
that was
support
exactly
herself
the
on
moment.
some like through a door handle or something, because otherwise she would just fell
Yeah.
over. No, that's insane. All right, let's get more into detail.
We've been talking for
20 minutes.
20
now.
minutes now,
Almost
so we
20
haven't said a
minutes.
thing story-wise yet.
Yes.
So
Yeah, I just want to start then with your question about the beginning, because we could then make
Yeah.
it clear for ourselves.
We all read the whole book, and
Yeah.
we all have a pretty clear understanding of what the book is about.
Mm-hmm.
But for me personally, I couldn't figure out one thing that still left me confused. There's one thing that still left me confused, and that is the begin part. Because in the beginning, the author describes some sort of hallucination, some kind of dream state, subconsciousness, out of body experience.
yeah,
and it was pretty clear what he was describing.
Yeah.
But I'm still struggling to find the connection it had with the whole story.
That's a very good question.
Yeah.
I have a very
Because it-
clear
because-
idea.
Have
Yeah.
a good answer.
Because
I don't.
in the whole story, because there's like the intro, and for the rest of the story, it isn't mentioned again, or it isn't referring to the beginning. Or there's
Yeah,
no
it-
connection in the rest of the story.
I think it's not a something to be connected with the story in a broader context,
Mhm.
but more more a way for the writer to immediately give you the impression that Arthur Maxley has of himself,
Yeah.
because it's a very abstract dream where at
Mhm.
first he is nothing but
Darkness.
a form of
Yeah.
consciousness.
Yeah, like
Consciousness.
matter arising from the darkness.
Exactly, and then it slowly malforms into this room.
Yeah.
What was it?
It was
Yeah,
some
it was
sort
a
of
house
party,
ballroom,
some
yeah.
sort
Yeah.
of ballroom, yeah. With,
Yeah.
yeah.
And he really frowned upon these masses of tuxedos and people
Mhm.
dancing, which happens again when he meets a woman. After
Yeah. But
that's a connection.
That's
so
a connection, but it's in a different place, because in the beginning he describes Max Everett's place.
Evarts, yeah.
Yeah.
Max Everett's place, and that's some kind of host that is very mysterious host.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And when he meets the woman, it is like very clear that it is in some sort of nightclub with ballroom dancing
True.
and some other
But
women performing.
I would say
It-
like the beginning is, as I told you, I think it's some kind of backstory to get you into it, because you
Yeah.
really know now who Arthur Maxley is. He
Yeah.
looks at himself from a distance in his dream,
kind of what
and he
experienced.
sees himself. He sees
Yeah.
his emotionless face. He sees that this guy is another part of the group,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the
That
way
says so
the
much
way,
about him.
Yeah, the way you
especially.
the way you guys explain this, yeah, it really makes more sense to me now, because just like you said and Olaf said
Yeah.
it, yeah, it gives you an idea of what Mark actually, what's his name again?
Yeah.
Maxley, Arthur Maxley, what he does, or what he experiences a lot, and it gives you an idea of the rest of the story.
Because it makes one thing very clear, because the way he dispositions himself,
Yeah.
not because he does it himself.
Mm-hmm.
He himself is accepted by the people around him, but he doesn't accept the people around him,
Yeah.
and it really. I had the word in my head a moment ago, but now I can't
It's
reach
alright.
it. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Could you describe?
So his disposition himself, it's... I don't know. I forgot, but
No,
it'll
it's
pop in my
alright,
head. But
it's
but
alright.
but my I hope my point is clear, because
Yeah, I know,
the way he dispositions himself
Yeah.
from the group, he's sitting there. If everybody's looking at him, and he doesn't talk to anybody.
No,
He himself chooses to be
very distant.
alone and
Yeah.
distant.
Isn't
Yeah.
I just recall a moment where he stands up and then screams, and everybody looks at him. Remember?
That was really weird. Because
They was still in his dream life.
So,
he was still in a dreamlike state,
Yeah.
and suddenly he was in the middle of the room,
Mhm.
in between all those people, and he just started like stamping his feet on the ground
Yeah.
and screaming.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
then suddenly he just saw this person again, but then sitting in the chair, and then he
Mhm.
just came each time closer and closer to the person, and suddenly he was the person,
Yeah.
and then there was blood or something.
Yeah, because
that was really
the way
cool.
I read it was that the people were very angry with him
Yeah.
within the dream, and were basically agitated,
Yeah.
ended up murdering him. Yeah,
It was
that's
so
what
weird.
happened. But
Yeah.
you see, that's the
Now
the
it makes
probably-
sense though.
Yeah, now it makes sense.
Yeah.
But I guess because it is his dream, that's might be a way of how he feels
Mm-hmm.
towards himself. Maybe,
Yeah.
perhaps he's depressed. He wants to die, or maybe
Or it's just
he thinks nobody likes him, or maybe it's a repressed feeling, which
Yeah.
this book is full of repressed feelings.
It's full of repressed
So,
feelings, yeah.
I think that it's
Yeah.
not one way to interpret it. I think it
Yeah,
has
yeah,
multiple
that's the
angles.
beauty.
I think the
That's the
author
beauty of
definitely
it.
plays with that a lot.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Because I'm pretty sure he when he wrote it, at least the beginning, it wasn't even necessarily to push the reader in one way of thinking.
No.
I think there are a lot of moments where he just leaves it up to the reader
Yeah.
to make something of it.
And that's beautiful.
For example, we don't know anything about that Evarts guy either.
Yeah.
No.
Like, who is that?
He
And
makes a
why?
reappearance in like
And-
thought or saying.
Yeah, for a moment.
Yeah,
in
he
the-
makes
in
an
a-
appearance, and also
Also-
that Stafford.
Yeah,
guy.
that's Stafford guy. Who is
He just came in.
Yeah,
he
it's
had
a weird guy.
Yeah, it's a
I mean,
really,
he describes their
fancy guy.
relationship.
Yeah.
That friendship is easily built. What was it? But dies a painless death each time they part,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
now happens again. So it makes you wonder:
Yeah.
will they meet again? Is
Yeah.
this a standard
it's
thing that happens?
Mm-hmm. But now you guys say it, it isn't really possible to get more information about the Stanford guy and the
Mhm.
Max Erfurt guy, because when you read this, the story takes place in one day. This whole book describes one day.
Yeah.
And that's what I found
Yes.
really astonishing. Like, how can you read 117 pages and just describe one day? I found it really astonishing.
It's crazy. I mean, if you go at the end, like when Volita is mentioned,
Yeah.
I mean, there are 2 pages of just describing her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's two
Exactly.
pages.
With the
Insane.
tattoos and everything.
Yeah,
Yes.
insane.
So, but let's see. We've had the beginning now. So let's skip, for example, the part where he gets the letter from his father. It's also
Yeah.
very.
Yeah.
That's also a pinnacle in the book.
Yeah, it really
Although
is.
I would like to actually mention the part that got me the most into it, and I already told you guys, but the moment that he went to the park, but already
Yeah.
knew he wouldn't go to the
Yeah.
park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's because what do we want to describe first? Do we want to name the do we want to go about the parts that make the most
Impact.
impact on us first?
Or-
we could do it in chronological order. So for me, this is right after the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Alright, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
why
think
I'm
it's
mentioning
best to go through this book in a chronological order, if I
Yeah.
pronounce it
Yeah.
correctly.
Mhm.
Chronological order.
Yeah.
And then just every time you feel like a moment that made a specific or a really big impact on you, then you just tell how you feel about it.
Yeah.
And we'll be doing that in part 2 of this podcast.
Da-dum, da-da-da-dum, dum, da-da-da-da-dum.
Nothing but the podcast. All right.
All right, we're back.
Welcome
We're back.
back. We just had like a short 10-minute break in between part 1 and this part, and we just decided that we will be having a podcast now.
Yeah.
We just created our own podcast.
We're going to
Yeah.
do it weekly or bi-weekly regarding periods.
Regarding what
The
we have to do. for
availability.
school. Of course, this is for school as well.
And
But
this is for school.
Yeah, so probably when we read a book is quite a good time,
Yeah.
but also just having fun and
Yeah.
testing our English,
Just
killing each other.
improving
What?
our
Or
speaking
I
skills.
said
torture. Torture. If one of us
helping
dies,
each other.
helping each other.
Helping each other.
That's what I'm saying.
I thought you said killing.
I would never.
Man,
Just-
stop pointing that knife at me.
Just like,
Stop kissing me.
Kissing me.
alright. Let's get back to business, guys.
Yeah, so I wanted to go to the part where he goes. He's trying to get to the park, but he never gets to the park.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And for me, this was a clear example of what later is the night. So if I say the night, you both know, right?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
All right.
It's this disillusioned thought that he always thinks he's going to do something, but that something interrupts him and he's doing something completely different. It's like that void in his head. That
Yeah,
dark
but
voice.
I'm actually talking about a very, very specific moment where two people are in the room with him. He is a younger version of himself. He gets to see his mommy and
Oh,
daddy.
Yeah.
That's the night. And I
That's
think
the night.
the writer is actually talking about that moment, because in his head you will see throughout the story that he isn't able to get at it. He knows that it happens, but he never sees this clear image until then. And I think the park is a way of saying that he never gets
Metaphor.
there.
Right?
Yeah, a
Like a
Yeah.
metaphor, yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Would you guys agree?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Definitely, yes.
Well, that's very
Good.
awesome.
That's very
Wow.
awesome. That's very
Wow.
nice. So, okay,
Thank you guys.
that's
for
it.
agreeing.
My part of the book is completely
it's done,
wiped
it's done.
away. Yes.
Yeah, that's really good. Olaf, do you have a similar moment like Menno?
In a chronological way.
Yeah, in a
right?
chronological way. That something happened after. Because
you-
I can recall that
yeah.
you mentioned something
With
when
the
he
egg,
was
the
in the restaurant with an egg or a cup of coffee or the waitress.
Oh, that part, yeah. Something that really stood out to me was it directly follows the park thing. Something that really stood out to me was his behavior. I mean, at some point, Arthur decides to go into a diner. And in this diner, he, one of the waitress. No,
Oh, mate.
Don't distract me.
No.
no, all right.
Keep
So one
on,
of the
don't-
waitresses, of course, gets near him and asks whether he wants something to eat, drink. You know
Yeah.
what waitresses do.
Yeah.
And he orders a egg with Tabasco.
Yeah.
Because he wants to set her off, basically. He wants to confuse her. Nothing more. It's a very superficial thought of his. But what stood out was the behavior that followed this remark. Because at first, he seems very humble, very low in self-confidence.
Yeah.
And suddenly, when the waitress fails to be in any way amused or surprised or unsettled by his order, he suddenly gets very full of himself. He suddenly starts acting like a sir, and that he should be treated as such.
Yeah.
And he basically in his head he starts making up a scenario in which he would be the manager. And he uses some fancy words to well basically break her down.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
It's just
Says like,
For me,
if you're
leave
not,
your
yeah,
debauch at home.
if you're not very surprised by an order of the customer, you will get fired.
yeah, exactly.
You have to show emotion when you pick up
Yeah.
orders.
What was it again? Hello there, Miss Menu. He starts for Maureen. The waitress gets a name.
maybe you could
appointed.
just reiterate the.
Yeah, we could. Let's see.
Look up the page where it is. Do some quotation in there that is important to mention.
So let's see.
The one-
Yeah, I found it.
Oh, nice.
So,
Page
let's see.
only on 30.
For an instant, he indulged in the fancy that he was her employer, With a few well-chosen, incisive words, he had the poor wretch trembling and weeping before him. Just this one warning. No, it starts here. Just this one warning, Miss Menu. Mr. Maxley is a gentleman, and he must be treated as such. The next time he orders an egg with Tabasco sauce, you will be surprised. Do you understand, Miss Menu? And, Miss Menu, try to hide the remnants of last night's debauch. That's all, Miss Menu. You may go.
Yeah.
So
That was
that's
wonderful.
such an
Yeah.
arrogance. He's such a.
I feel like he's
a bastard.
a bit
He's such a
spoiled
bastard.
as well.
This is a
Yeah,
spoiled
very
brat.
spoiled,
Yes.
yeah.
Spoiled little
brat.
man.
So,
yeah.
so I mean, so basically, all sympathy that the author had built up for me towards this character was broken down just by that
Yeah.
part. I mean, of course, a sadistic part of me enjoyed it as well, but it did change the way I thought of
Yeah.
Arthur Maxley.
Mhm.
Because I thought, whoa, this man
Yeah.
is not as humble at all. He's
No.
actually
Yeah.
quite judgmental and.
Because at
mean.
first you see him as this insecure person who's not really like
You know, trying to fit
confident.
in,
You're trying to fit in, not really
find
confident.
his way.
And then once he does not get his way, something else happens to him than he expected.
Yeah.
He just gets full of this hate and sadistic stuff. Yeah,
mad.
He
He
gets
just
full of
get
himself.
mad.
Yeah.
He just
Quite
gets
a bit.
really
Suddenly it is very important. I mean, in the very dream, he was this. He didn't even recognize himself, and now he should be treated as a sir by
Yeah.
every individual he comes across.
Yeah, that was really.
I found it very interesting, like the way, and you will see him do this again and again, is the way he gets in his mind above the situation. So he has a helicopter view.
Yeah.
As if he's hovering about the scene
Yeah.
instead of acting in it himself.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
sees
Like,
what he,
yeah.
and then you really see what he thinks about it.
Yeah,
right?
Some sort of third person perspective
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
himself.
It's so fun because his thoughts are always laid bare to be read, which is just you know what really strikes me is the fact that you know every thought that
know
goes through
every
his
thought.
mind, and yet just like himself, it's not logic, or it's not at least I didn't fully understand it still. I mean, of course I knew what he said, but because the character himself was often so confused or so he didn't really know what to do in certain now I'm describing it wrong. Because there were because there were so many repressed emotions he couldn't get to, or he couldn't grasp the core. Neither could I as the reader, because it was written so well from his
Yeah.
point of view. So
What I got out
is
of
that
it-
clear?
Yeah, I
Yeah?
understand
Alright.
because the author just continuously keeps you guessing, like what's happening next. It doesn't. He gives a clear description of what's happening, but not the full description.
Yeah.
So there's always that tiny spot that is missing that will keep you keep you engaged to read even further and just go through the whole book.
Exactly. When he for the first time he pictured the image of his father and his mother standing opposite of each other, he described all his emotions so well, but without giving a hint of what might have happened.
Yeah,
between
but
them.
you definitely get it.
You definitely get
Yeah.
it. Something. It was bad. Something bad. But
you
what,
know something
what
had
was it
happened.
that happened.
We'll talk about this later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It comes.
Definitely
It
some
comes.
stuff.
And
to
when
surface.
it comes, I'm not going to
Yeah.
say what happens yet, but the way he worded, he put it into words when he started to remember. He used these words like, and then suddenly the emotions struck him and flooded him, because that's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
Suddenly, you, the reader, get struck
Yeah.
with all this information,
Mhm.
with this memory you've been pondering upon for so long.
Yeah.
It's like
yeah.
boom, and it just
Mhm.
played. That part blew my mind.
Yeah. Really.
So
The same for me. It did the same
Yeah.
for me.
I think that's the part that made the most of an impression on me. Well, we'll get not
Yeah.
the actual memory, but the way
Yeah.
he
described-
propelled his
yeah.
way to that build up. Yeah, it was.
Yeah. This book contains a serious build-up. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Then I want to talk about the moment that most struck upon me, and where I got also a bit emotional, because I got a bit teary-eyed. So it said, yeah, tears in my eyes.
You teared
Yeah, I
up?
got a
I'm
bit
not
of
sure what's
emotional.
right.
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter.
You cried.
No, not
Like a
full,
pansy.
not full on crying, but it was at the moment when he went back from the dining or from a restaurant from his lunch,
Yeah.
and he got back in his apartment, and then that girl came in. Was it like cleaner?
It's the cleaner.
The
The
Oh,
maid.
cleaning
yeah,
lady?
yeah,
The
the
maid?
the maid. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Husband.
they were just like fooling around, and after
Yeah, I
that,
thought that was very interesting as well.
yeah, it was really weird because
Yeah, when he suddenly shut off.
yeah, he
that
shut
part,
his shut
yeah,
off.
yeah.
He got engaged with a maid, and they were like flirting with each other.
Wait, come to think about it, similar thing happened with the. I had not realized that. You know, I'm just.
That's
Oh, yeah.
I'm just only
Yeah.
making that connection
Because at
right
the
now.
Definitely
end,
the
it had the
connection,
same
yeah.
happen, but in a more extreme way.
Yeah, yeah. All right, no, you continue.
Yeah, I
you-
could
because
continue
you're
because
sure, yeah.
it's getting good. It's getting good.
It's getting so.
It's getting exciting now.
That's a good bit.
Because the maiden, she had the
Maid.
letter. The maiden. Is
Yeah, maiden
something
is clean. Is I think
else. Maiden
a
is-
medieval way of
Yeah,
a virgin woman,
Oh,
of a clean.
well, maybe she
Yeah,
was
I
a
don't-
virgin.
No, I don't
we
know.
Don't, we don't know.
We don't
But-
She was at least clean.
She was at least
She
clean.
was-
Or cleaning.
She was clean.
She was cleaning.
Yeah.
But the maid, she received his mail, and he got one specific letter, and that really shocked him because,
Yeah.
as the author talks
Yeah.
about it,
The leather of his father,
yeah, it was a letter of his father, and this boy hadn't seen his father in such a long time, and have
Three
like
years.
3 years,
Yeah, 3
since-
years.
and they have
Yeah.
a really
Yeah.
really complicated relationship, to say the least.
I think it's important to mention that his father is really deep into business
Yeah,
and
it's
has
a
to travel all
very
the time.
business oriented man.
Or chooses
man.
to travel all the
He
time.
chooses
Yeah,
to
well,
travel.
chooses, which is very interesting once they start their dinner, that
Mhm.
he himself reveals to be
Yeah.
not that fond, which we'll get to as
We'll-
well.
We'll get to. We'll
Yeah.
get to this
Yeah,
part.
mention the man.
And then, when he received this letter, and he opened his letter, and all these memories come flooding in again. And then he just reached to his drawer, where he kept this picture of his father and mother, and then he grabs out this picture and he looks at this picture, and
I thought it was only of his mom.
Yeah, I
was his
thought-
mom or dad? I don't know. At least
Oh, wow.
his mother was on the picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But then, when then he just got his flashback where he turned back to his childhood.
Yeah.
But he was reminiscing back to his childhood,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
then
with the grass.
the grass and just everything was
Building,
like golden and such
way he
a
described
beautiful
the,
scenery.
The way he said that the pebbles were laid down like a
Yeah,
reckless thrown down ribbon.
yeah, it was so
into the grass.
beautiful,
It was
and
very, very well described.
he described this scenery. So it was kind of loud. A bit loud on the table, but he described
Emotions
this.
are getting high.
Yeah, I'm getting really enthusiastic now. But he just described this scenery of his childhood so beautiful, beautifully. Thank you for the correction. And that made me think, because I started thinking back about my childhood, and I just really got this huge, strong feeling of nostalgia. and nostalgic feeling. Nostalgia.
Yeah,
Nostalgic.
No,
You feel nostalgic.
Yeah, I
it's a
feel
nostalgia.
nostalgic. Yeah,
Nostalgia.
it's really strong, and I just didn't thought of the book for a couple of seconds, and it really got in my own head, and really just flew through my own memories about my childhood, and how everything was like really great, and all these fun times, and the feeling of having no responsibilities, and just like being a child back again, and that's really made me emotional, because for some reason I just really could relate to this whole situation, and that made me really emotional.
Right.
I found it so beautiful.
Because it was really funny. What the things I know of your childhood just makes me think of the 30 Moroccan.
No.
It was such a great time.
It was such a great childhood. Almost got beaten up.
No, yeah, that was
it was
more in my
sidetracking
teenage
that much.
years, when I was like 16
Oh,
year old.
okay.
I started thinking back to when I was like 8 years old,
Oh,
or 10
okay.
years old.
Just
you know?
the
Yeah.
years that you don't
Didn't
have
have any
to worry about
responsibility,
anything.
Yeah,
the
and just when
hardest choices.
all you did was play outside with your friends. You go to school, you went home, you just
Of course, I
The
Play-
hardest
put
choice
on
was:
music.
do you want chocolate milk or lemonade?
yeah, yeah,
Ah, bugger.
exactly.
What do I want? Fine.
But yeah, that moment just struck with me. It's like so
I do
beautiful.
understand that. Although for me that moment was more painful than yeah. I don't know.
Wait. Are you talking about your own emotions regarding your childhood, or the way he remembered
was so
it?
painful.
No.
It's the way the author like he
Childhood.
tells us about the picture. He tells us about the youth of the boy.
Yeah.
But now he's still in this place,
Yeah.
and so he is reminiscing. I do understand that he's looking back at this younger age and thinking about those moments, and especially with his mother, because well, that's an important part of the book. But I think it's also very painful because you already know his mom isn't there.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he's never
And
getting
why isn't
those
she
moments
there?
back.
Yeah, I felt like that his the way he remembered it, the way he remembered it seemed very depressed, but the memories seemed very good. And what I mean
Yeah.
is, that there was a dark undertone, because he was thinking of
That's what I
how
felt.
great it could have been if
If his mother
if the
was still
whole
there.
situation that
Yeah.
we will get to never happened.
Yeah.
If he hadn't
Yeah,
been
and
traumatized.
and the pain of the fact that what was is not anymore and will
Yeah.
never be.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I kind of read it. Like, it was just beautiful for a moment, and then it just struck upon him like, well,
Yeah, but
that ain't gonna happen no more.
I think at some
This
point
happens again in the book.
we could all identify with that moment, because we've all been childs, and every time when you think back to your childhood, it was all those great memories come back.
Yeah.
But now we are adults and we have so much responsibilities.
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
living on my own, and sometimes I'm going to be honest. Sometimes I miss those times.
Yeah.
Because now we have all these responsibilities and stuff, and life happens.
And now you got us.
Yeah, but now I got you guys. So
We had some
I'm
pretty
alright.
great times at your
Yeah,
home as well.
alright. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
But that's
but,
classified information.
That's fine.
Classified information. But still, yeah, life isn't that bad as
No.
Arthur Maxley's.
Well, yeah, because how would you put up with life if you were Arthur Max? I found that would be very difficult.
That's a good
I mean,
question.
constantly being swallowed up by some, but yeah, because basically he's constantly being swallowed up by memories.
Yeah, by
but it's
these
but
nightmares.
by repressed memories. So
Impressed, yeah.
can you imagine just constantly suffering from something that happened in the past?
Yeah.
not being able to lay a finger on it,
Mhm.
not even being sure what it exactly is that bothers you.
Yeah.
That must be just so
I
difficult.
I honestly can't tell, because I don't have any like really dark moments or dark things that happen to me. So I just cannot identify with him, and so I wouldn't know how I would react if I was in his place.
Yeah.
But what I think I would do is see some kind of therapist. so
He
look
was so
for some
young
help.
at that age as well.
Yeah.
So young.
Yeah, he was very young, but
Can't
if
even
I
imagine.
find myself constantly getting swallowed by these dark thoughts and this evil, or how do you say it? Not mean, but really negative thoughts.
Yeah.
Not so happy feelings.
They're not
The not so
Not
happy
so happy
feeling.
feelings.
The really
do you
yeah,
have
the-
sad feelings?
yeah,
No,
the-
but they're just not so happy. No, they're happy, but they could be
those-
happier.
depressing emotions and negative emotions. If I got them constantly and constantly think about them, I would just go or see a therapist or something, or get some help, or find somebody to talk about
He has a weird kind of relationship with his friends as well. 'cause
Yeah, he doesn't.
he
really
mentions
have
Max
friends.
Everts, and I think he's kind of. That's why I think he's spoiled as well.
Yeah.
Because like if you go to a party where the host is never there, I think that's a rich kid thing to
Yeah.
do or something.
Yeah,
It's an art party.
Yeah,
It feels like he grew up in a very rich type of culture.
Mhm.
Not
At
to
least-
talk
at
down
least
of the
it's-
rich,
no.
but they have different standards. They have different
And
manners.
and his father literally pays for him. He
For
sends him a
everything.
check
Yeah.
every now and then.
Yeah.
He sends him a check with money. So
Mhm.
I got the feeling that he doesn't even have a job.
No,
That
I
Arthur
think
Maxey
he's
he
doesn't
doesn't.
work.
He doesn't. No.
Because
he's
he
a
just
really
lives
a
off his
bum.
father. Yeah, he's just
Yeah.
this alcoholic
Because
guy.
this
that lives
girl
off his
he
father.
later meets,
Yeah.
she says like, "What do you do with your hands?" He's like, "I do nothing."
I'm a
Yeah.
parasite. He
I'm a
says.
parasite,
Wow,
yeah.
that was quite something.
And he orders a shit ton. Oh, I'm sorry. He orders.
Oh.
He orders a lot of alcohol, and he basically
a
just
vast, enormous amount of alcohol.
Yeah.
Brandy.
and he
Brandy
Just-
specifically, and champagne. But it likes kick.
and he
I want more
and-
kick.
yeah,
then he
more
ends up
kick.
hitting us. Is
Yeah.
that enough kick?
Yeah,
Is that enough kick for you?
That's it.
You wanted this.
Oh, you wanted some
You
kick. You wanted some kick. Here's the kick you wanted. Yeah, but
Okay.
also
that guy comes down and says,
Yeah.
"What's this all about?
Yeah.
Did he hurt you? He
Yeah,
gave me some kick."
yeah, she wanted some kick, so I gave her some kick.
Oh.
Yeah, but what I meant is like he just kept ordering drinks and he couldn't be bothered by the
and of
paycheck
course like the
bill.
bottle behind underneath his bed and
Yeah,
yeah.
just spoiled. spoiled
So
kid
what's the
misses
next
spoiled.
part? So we had the restaurant talk.
Yeah.
So he's going to meet Stafford.
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 Oh my
Stafford.
god!
Oh, what
Oh,
a guy.
that's a meeting.
He
to
pissed me
comment on.
off.
All right, I see.
Oh.
Stafford pissed me
Yeah.
off well.
I see Stafford as this really jolty, over the top, gay guy.
Yeah.
You know those
or-
overly
it-
gay people.
It
that
made
look
me
like
think of
they're-
someone. And I only have to look at you for you guys to know, I think.
Why are you
Oh.
looking at me? You know,
Somebody who
Who
is
sings as well.
yeah,
somebody who doesn't regard others' feelings, somebody who's annoying,
yeah, I know.
somebody
we were
who
referring to.
isn't Dutch.
Oh.
Yeah,
I don't want to say his name.
You make it painfully obvious.
yeah.
Yeah. Jeez, no, but like
Like
I kinda
that
thought of-
Stafford guy, he reminded me of you know this Dutch celebrity Gordon. He reminded me of Gordon, like this over the top like
Yeah,
guy.
I
Like,
kind of understand what you're saying.
You know.
Well, you see, I also kind of thought, of course, I also kind of related it to gay, to being
Yeah.
a bit gay, but he just seemed, at least he had very feminine ways of
Yeah.
acting, but what really annoyed me, he seemed very unempathic. Like
yeah.
he failed to be empathic with
very
uh,
egotistical.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Well, that was
egocentric,
definitely no. But
egocentric
if I
man.
would say something about this person, it would be that he's very autistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That he has no clue about other guys or
No,
other people's
no
emotions.
social cues.
But what he did make me think, because he at some point said, Arthur, stop acting, implying
Mhm.
Arthur has been keeping up with the behavior he's
Yeah.
showing in the book for quite some time.
Mhm.
And maybe Arthur isn't fully in his right when he with his behavior. He's acting very much like a victim.
yeah.
And at first I thought that was right, because I thought his father had mistreated him or something.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And now it all ties up in a very different way. Now I
Mhm.
see, it changed my perception of the father in hindsight enormously, because
Yeah.
I thought he was a bit of a snob, that he did not care about his son or something,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
that
or
he
the-
did something
Yeah.
terrible to his
Yeah,
mother.
I had the
Yeah.
same exact
Yeah.
feeling.
Mhm.
And after knowing what actually happened, that's it
Good.
just seems like such a complex
Yeah, it's-
situation, and I'm really wondering what happened to Arthur Max that made him distance himself from his father in such
Yeah,
a way.
Because it's like, if you look at Arthur, it's like he hates his father. His mother is gone. She's dead. We
Yeah,
know.
but he seems to remember her in a very, very
nice way.
nice way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
only nice.
Only,
Very
yeah,
only
yeah.
the
positive
nice.
way. Yeah,
And
nice and yeah.
It makes sense after
As
all.
if
but-
she, almost as if she's been wronged.
Yeah, as if
Yeah.
she's an angel and her father's
Like
the
she
devil.
was the
Yeah,
his
victim,
father's the
not
devil.
as she was the victim
Yeah,
of some
yeah.
accident.
So,
or something.
Especially when the other woman came to the table,
Yeah.
which was also which is also made me very emotional for a moment, because because Arthur felt so betrayed.
Mhm.
That was put into words so well.
Yeah.
But I kind of understand Arthur, but I also kind of don't.
No.
Same.
Because at that point I felt like he wasn't totally in his I felt like he was almost acting out of bounds, because who is he to judge his father for continuing his life, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah.
That's
But
something,
I think we
or
could
that's
get-
what I think in hindsight. Let's
Yeah,
put it
sure.
like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We'll get back at that. So I wanted to say, or rather mention, that this guy who he meets, Stafford, you can
Mhm.
immediately tell he has no clue what happened to Arthur. It's like
Yeah.
a locked box, right?
And I
Yeah.
have
Because
the
he
idea-
says, you could just ask your father for the money.
yeah.
He will give it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you have a
that
rich
to
father,
me
yeah.
means like, no, he has no clue what happened.
Yeah,
No.
and he doesn't even
And
care
at that
about
moment in the book, we also don't know.
Mhm.
No.
And and just to give this Stafford Stafford character more context, I have a specific line that really made it clear what kind of person Stafford is. I'm going to read this out of the book. They're in a dining room and they want to get something to eat.
Mm.
And Arthur suggests that, shall we go to the dining room? And Stafford immediately goes like, no, I won't go in there. The food is absolutely filthy. I know, it isn't even clean in there. Like,
Very judgmental.
Very judgmental. Yeah, he's so judgmental. Like he doesn't even know.
I think
chefs.
everything that
Yeah.
he says is
Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
Because if we don't go my way, we don't go at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My standard
Yeah.
is the best
Mhm.
standard,
Standard,
and
yeah.
everybody should
So
abide
elitist.
by
And
it. Yeah.
so
yeah.
If he doesn't like a specific food, the whole restaurant is bad and everything is filthy and wrong.
It's the kind of guy I
Yeah.
would slap.
Yeah, it's the kind of guy I would
Silence
definitely
you.
avoid.
Silent.
Silence.
But-
Infidel.
Looking at the time, we're at half an hour again.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't
Ju-
matter.
just-
it's
just
it's our
continue.
podcast.
Just carry on.
It's our podcast.
It's our podcast.
We can
yeah.
do what we want. So nobody has
Perhaps
the
Maureen won't
power.
even listen to up until
No, I
this
don't
point.
think she will listen to the whole podcast.
It would be interesting.
She would listen.
Maybe on the ride home.
Yeah. We could just throw in some funny stuff. Yeah, but if she listens to the whole podcast, she had to listen to an hour of us talking.
And we're not done yet.
Whole hour.
who
And we're not
minds?
even done. And we
We're
still
lovely
have
to
like,
listen to.
Yeah,
We're funny, right?
We're funny. We're so
Yeah.
funny.
No, but
Nice to
let's
listen
carry
to.
on.
Alright.
So Stafford, for me, there was a very minimal time space ban.
Yeah,
It's
it
snowing
was
now,
like
by
a
the way.
short.
It's snowing.
Yeah.
It's snowing.
Fine.
It's nice.
Okay, nice.
Yes, that Stafford was just such a short fraction in the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
I
it
think
was,
he was that way described that way in the book and mentioned for only like
Yeah,
what is it, 5 pages?
I
6 pages?
think
Yeah.
I think that Stafford guy was put in the book just to give Arthur more context,
Yeah.
just to
Mhm.
show more depth and
That's what every
get
every-
get more information about what kind of person Arthur is.
Yeah.
Because
With the,
they also
people
fight.
he's involved
yeah,
with.
he,
Yeah.
he also ends up in a fight with this Stafford guy, and then he's just like.
Yes, again,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say
Arthur
fight,
ends up.
though.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
they had a fierce
Argument.
argument.
Yeah,
But
he throws the
Arthur-
water in
yeah,
his
yeah.
face.
True.
Which is interesting
True,
with
water.
each confrontation.
it gets more.
Or
more
no,
into-
not even confrontation, but with each emotional endeavor,
Mm-hmm.
it always gets out of hand. With the maid, it got out of hand.
Mm-hmm.
With the social contact with the waitress, he got he didn't get out of hand the
In his
way,
mind, though.
but in his
in his
mind it
head.
set him off. With his father,
Yeah.
he walked away. With Stafford, he
Mhm.
threw a glass in his face. A glass. He threw water in his
Mhm.
face. But every time his emotions start rising,
Mhm.
he locks up.
He locks up and he goes into this mode of
Yeah. He buries himself
yeah,
in
he
thought.
buries him and he distances himself
Right.
and he just goes into rejective. He goes in a
Yes.
mode of reject.
Yeah,
Like,
and
he
instead
rejects all the
instead
people.
of what I think is instead of his emotions
Mhm.
then calming down,
Mhm.
they get even
Yeah,
they
they
get
get
even harder.
worse.
They
just
rise and
spiral
rise and
down.
rise
Yeah, just
until it
That
just,
moment,
Yeah,
yeah.
up until
right.
crescendo, it just
boom. Yeah, it just
And it's so
climaxes.
obvious at that moment, but if you would only read that part, you
Yeah.
would feel so weirded out.
yeah,
You know,
definitely.
And
it
it
all
still
makes
struck me
sense.
at that
It all
moment.
starting when we
In a
talk
different
about
way.
it, it's all making even more sense.
So he met Stafford, and then so he threw a water. glass
he
of
got an
water
argument,
into
and,
Yeah.
and
Right.
Stafford left, and Stafford
Yeah.
never wanted to talk to him anymore.
After
And then he
that,
went home.
went to his father. No, I thought.
No,
because he got-
he
he-
walked around. I think he went for a walk because the manager of that restaurant got up into Arthur's face. Like, you drunk, and all the people like,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
he's
true,
drunk,
that's
he's been
true.
drunking, and
He started
drinking.
walking around and just
and he's just
took
strong.
where the current of
Mhm.
people
Mm-hmm.
took
Oh,
him.
did we? What did I get? What happened? Is it Stafford, father, girl, or is it?
No, it's
Yes,
Stafford.
father, girl.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Stafford.
So he
Yeah.
gets home. He goes to take a bath.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because he had
Remember?
1 hour to, or something. He had something like a
I
more to
think.
get ready. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
he got ready, and then he
So he got home
Then
after Stafford.
also
He
took a couple of.
Isn't it
Glasses
after
of
Stafford
whiskey?
that the maiden thing happened?
no.
No, that was after
that was
the
at
the very beginning.
the
True,
breakfast.
yeah.
after the restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah, after
The
the
first
dining,
line, the
breakfast
lunchroom.
dining, lunchroom. Yeah. All right.
So he gets home.
He gets
takes
home.
a bath.
He makes himself ready, and
Yeah.
he finally decides, all right, it's time to meet up my dad,
Yeah.
who I
And-
haven't
and-
seen for 3 whole years.
Which was weird. Was like he called his father before,
and
but he didn't answer. Right. So he got
his
he
father
got
wasn't
the
there.
You know what just popped into my mind? He
Secretary,
leaves his house 3 times within the story,
Mhm.
but he only comes back twice,
Yeah.
which I think is which I just realized because it's a very open end, but just this little detail that he didn't come back the 3rd time makes it even more open.
Did he not come back at all?
No. He
didn't.
walked out
No.
the street, and that was the ending. He walked out.
Oh
the
yeah,
street.
sure. Yeah.
But he didn't. I mean, one can presume that he went home, but
No. Yeah.
One could
Um,
also presume that he just strayed in the night.
yeah, for
Yeah, I
example,
think that's more.
he just ghosts. He just fully ghosts from that point on.
Yeah. All right, so he meets his father. They have a conversation.
Yeah, I still want to mention that. So he called his father to meet up that night,
Mhm.
No.
but
He wasn't present.
he didn't answer, and he had to speak to a secretarian or something.
Yeah, and he was slightly disappointed, even
Mhm.
though he dreaded to hear his father's voice. He was disappointed that he wasn't the one to answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. And that is an interesting detail, because he pictures his father as this businessman who doesn't make time for his kids, for his son. And even when he calls and he sent this letter, he still didn't answer. I found it a very interesting detail. There's even when Arthur made up his mind, gathered the courage to call his father to tell him that he would come, he still wasn't there. He still didn't, even then, he still didn't answer. He still was doing some business
Yeah.
kind of thing. that even made, like the cherry on top of the pie, that is just
That's
made
true,
it even
but
more clear what kind of.
sort of in his defense, he after that. He doesn't make clear that he was gone for only 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That he just had to pop in
Yeah,
and
but,
out
mhm.
for a moment.
Just
Because of the
so-
thoughts of Arthur that just made me not believe it.
Yeah, that's true.
Mhm.
But in hindsight, I do believe it
Yeah?
because
Yeah,
his
I
father,
believe him, but
because
it's
his father
so-
seems very troubled as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he knows he's
Yeah.
not been a good father.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I don't think he's a great guy, but I can sympathize with him.
I understand.
So
I'm looking for a word. But it's so predictable, or so yeah, so. What are you doing?
all right, get your smoothie over with.
Yeah, just move it
Yeah,
over.
all right.
It is so yeah, predictable, or so fuck. I know they don't know this. That doesn't matter. What I want to say is that it's just no, I don't know how to describe it. Well, it doesn't matter. Let's move on.
What was it about?
Well, it just completes the picture. Like, even when Arthur made the attempt to call his father, even then he wasn't there.
Oh,
Yeah.
because it all built on top of each
Yeah.
event built on top
Mhm.
of the other. Like he wasn't for him at
Yeah.
that point,
Mhm.
nor at that point, and even when he called him
Yeah, he still wasn't
to say
there.
that he was available, he wasn't there. Yeah,
They wanted to meet him. Even then, he wasn't there.
it was like
Somebody else had to
Yeah,
receive
yeah,
the
yeah.
message and forward it to him. So, Then he meets his father.
The dinner.
The dinner.
How did it go?
It all went very downhill.
Bad shit crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it all escalated.
Let's try to keep swearing to a minimum. So how did it go? Batshit crazy.
Bad shit crazy, yeah.
It went
No, but it
absolutely mad.
not a proper
Absolutely.
description.
So what
Um,
happened in your eyes?
It started off very, very awkward. Mainly from no. It was difficult because the way the author described his father at that point, or the way he positioned the way Arthur's father positioned himself towards Arthur. He seemed very open, very welcoming, almost not excited, but delighted to see his son for the first
He
time.
knew this was his chance to make up.
Yeah, to make some sort of amend or
Yeah.
something. And at some point, of course, the two talk. They talk chit chat at first.
Mm-hmm.
They talk. Arthur makes something up about his study, but he doesn't even want to study. So
Because it's like written about like the way Arthur Maxey thinks.
yeah,
You can clearly tell, like the book's saying, like Arthur now thinks that he should do something regarding his study, so he makes up a story.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he actually doesn't want to study. It's just to break the silence.
Yeah.
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 To get rid of the awkward, uncomfortable
Yeah.
silence.
So and what I thought was really interesting was the moment that his father started talking about the whole traveling
The
thing.
travel rant.
The travel around, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go through just very fast. Basically, running the business, traveling all the time, it feels very redundant for his father. Yeah, his father experiences it as very redundant. It's tiring him,
Mm-hmm.
and what I found was really interesting. He said, "I'm tired of running,"
Mm-hmm.
which to me implied the fact that he was suffering from the tragic
Still,
event,
Yeah. So
which we
Mhm.
will get to
From
very
the-
closely.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
very close to it.
Nearby.
So perhaps
Coming near.
because he also describes this, of what he also describes is once you get yourself so busy,
Mm-hmm.
you can't live without it anymore. It's wearing him down.
Yeah,
but he
and-
knows once he
Mhm.
disconnects it from his life, that he will also suffer because he's used to being on business all the time, and
Yeah.
it fills his time. He doesn't know
And
anything
he,
else.
He used a great metaphor for it. He basically used a metaphor of somebody who was at the lake, and those
yeah.
wooden
Right.
these wooden logs
Mm.
that are in the lake, and you can stand on the log, and if you stand still,
Yeah,
it is
that's
alright.
Yeah.
It's alright. Once you start moving, the log will start spinning, and the log won't stop. So you have to
Yeah.
move with the log, and
otherwise you would
basically,
fall down.
otherwise you will fall down. So that's basically the same situation his father was in. He
Yeah.
thought I start his business.
He feels
But-
like
He couldn't stop because he had to go, and he couldn't stop. If he stopped, he would fall. He would go broke or lose
as if he would
something
succumb to
valuable.
some sort of depression, for
Yeah.
example.
I think
Because
it's
there'd be
getting
nothing to
back at
distract him.
getting back
Yeah.
at the image. I would
Yeah.
say
Mhm.
that the water then in his mind is the image of what happened.
Yeah.
And that he started to, you
Mhm.
have this moment, you're on something, but then he started to run, and the thing he was on was this log in the water.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So he had to keep running because otherwise he
Yeah,
would.
otherwise,
Yeah,
the
well, you know,
memories,
what I feel
the
like-
monsters would come back to him, the
You know,
nightmares.
What I really feel like is because it's as if he's been standing on top of the log
Mm-hmm.
from the beginning on. He never learned how to swim, and because he never learned how to swim in
Yes.
the water,
Yeah.
he couldn't dare to stop walking
Yeah.
the
And
log,
With
which is kind of with his business because
Uh-huh.
he's been doing it. He never learned how to live
without it.
apart from it.
Yeah.
So I feel that,
and
yeah.
basically with the water and learning how to swim, you are referring to dealing with negative
Yeah.
thoughts
Dealing
Yeah.
with
And-
the
and-
emotion regarding
and the
trauma.
emotions and the trauma
Mm-hmm.
and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Very nice metaphor, Anne. Very great insight. Great
Thank you
perception.
very much.
And so up to the reader.
I think
Yeah.
I think
So
even John Williams can learn something from us. I think he missed
Sean,
a great
he's dumb.
great
He's
detail.
dumb.
Yeah, he's
But
dumb.
We're making the story better.
We added some value to this
I just see it as like three chefs just really like,
yeah.
what? Forget about it. Oh, we're not Stafford snapped. What do you mean snapped? What?
Broke his neck.
Broke his neck. Oh yeah, that would make the book a lot better,
Yeah.
wouldn't it, lads?
Okay.
You missed
but
the
I,
great
I
metaphor.
want to get back
Yeah.
because I have this thought.
Almost
At the
an
moment,
hour.
Shut up. Stop looking at the time.
At the moment that I read it,
Forget time. Time is
Relevant.
limitless.
Irrelevant.
Time is
at the
eternal.
moment that I read it, I thought his father with his rant was very egotistical. But now, when I knew the situation, now I know he's trying to get to Arthur,
Yeah.
get through to him.
Yeah.
Aren't you tired too? You must be.
Yeah.
That's literally what he says.
Yeah.
So I think that it's a way to try to get to him, but he never gets there
Yeah.
No.
because he's and it's, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that also shows how locked up, how much Arthur distances himself from those emotional confrontations, which might be why he every time, also with the positive emotions, he just shuts down. He doesn't know how to deal with it because he's been damaged so severely, severely.
He doesn't know what to do with his feelings.
No.
He cannot put his feelings into context.
Yeah.
All right.
His
The
dinner.
dinner and
And does it end, Jess?
the trauma gets to Arthur again. He starts acting out of his emotions. Things go south. Go really really bad between him and his father.
Why?
And that's because his father, this is what I made up of the story, is seeing another woman. There's another woman in his father's life.
But also other women.
Other
He
women.
said
Other
he
women.
said
So it's
there's
the woman
multiple.
that came to their table. I think he's just
Yeah.
doing her at that moment in time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
it really
Yeah,
it
he
didn't
was just
feel like a
seeing her.
relationship, more
No,
of a
but
very
he's just like
superficial, just
and-
a sexual
yeah.
relationship.
and
just
his father
that,
even
nothing more.
said it himself, like she wasn't the only one.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, he
other
said, why
asked-
lie
he
about
clearly
it?
says that. Yeah.
Why lie
Why
about
lie
it?
about it?
Who am I? Because why shouldn't I be able to go further with my life or something? That is something. He says something about that.
And looking
And you
back,
definitely get tricked as a reader. 'Cause you
Yeah,
still
yeah,
don't know what
definitely.
happened.
You don't know.
Yeah.
He seems like such a
yeah,
bastard.
because at this point,
scumbag.
at this point, yeah, I agree. At this
Ruffian
point, at this point, I really thought his father was just a scumbag. Like I thought he cheated on his mother or he
Yeah,
killed her or something. Now he's seeing other women. But looking back, when you
You
know
know what
what
actually
actually happened, his father has. His father has every right to. He has every right to see other women, and the father is not at all. He's a scumbag.
He's
So-
not at all a scumbag. He is
No.
in
But
fact.
but he did say like but no one's like your mother.
Yeah, now
Yeah.
I know why no one is like his mother.
No.
Holy shit.
Wow, Jesse.
You're so hard.
No,
hard,
but
yeah.
it's the truth.
No, I think it's differently.
I don't think there are a lot of women who. No. Let's
No.
get to the point.
So,
So
I mean,
Arthur,
I still think you're right, but I don't think that that
No,
is
he
what's
wasn't.
the way
He
he
implied.
wasn't
meant,
man.
yeah.
So what was
Or
his
implied.
intention?
but like his father. So this girl gets to the table, this woman, and he explains to his son who she is and that it's just a sexual thing.
Mhm.
And he says it's nothing like your mother. I think that's a trigger to Arthur as well.
Yeah.
He gets angry. He shouts at his dad. He says he will never meet him again.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He just ends the relationship with his dad,
Mhm.
basically.
Yeah, that was intense.
And it has a lot to
I
do
felt
with.
it, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it still had a lot to do with Arthur not really knowing what happened, not recalling what happened to that certain moment.
Well, I will get back at that at the moment that we end the book, because I
Mhm.
have a clear thought about that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But so
Alright.
Arthur decides to head out to the
Yeah.
street.
And then just wander around.
saw letters. In
Yeah,
the
he was,
distance.
what I recall from the book, he was standing on the street because it was really busy. It was like rush time.
Yeah.
And he was just standing to a glass. He was just leaning on a glass
On a window, yeah.
to a window, onto a window,
Against
the window. Thank you, Olaf. He was just leaning against the window, and then suddenly some music and some letters and some noise
He saw
caught
some
his
neon
attention.
letters in the
Caught his
distance.
attention. And then he decided, like, oh, what the hell? Let's go in there. Let's see what's up. What's up over there? What's happening over there?
Then again,
And then
the third party view.
third party view, yeah.
Him seeing the dance floor. So first of all, we're all sitting around these dining tables, and
Yeah.
he was just ordering brandy,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
he gets his third person view,
Mhm.
and he thinks of these people as marionettes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as puppets.
As
Very
puppets.
condescending.
Very
Yeah.
As if they were all as if they were all simpletons.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For
That's exactly how he
Yeah.
just thinks
Sees
all
the
the time.
world.
He sees
Yeah.
the world like
I have all these
It's a-
emotions
He's
and
a
thoughts.
snob.
Yeah.
He's a snob. No.
Because I'm going a bit back in the story now. When he had his diner with Stafford, he was sitting at the bar, at the counter, and he just saw the waiter and the bartender as actors.
Yeah.
And he had the same view with the dancers. Like, there are some actors, they're controlled by an invisible hand.
Yeah.
Invisible hand on strings and...
Now I'm going even more back
Mhm.
with the waitress in the beginning. He saw himself as an actor. He said, or he
Mhm.
regarded himself as an actor from her point of view.
Yeah.
In the fact that he said, to her, I am nothing more but another mouth that
Yeah.
needs feed.
Yeah.
another
that needs
mouth
feeding,
just
yeah.
feeding.
Oh, it was such a great part as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just another man that needs to
Yeah,
be
it's
fed.
just because that is kind of the reality in this society we live in. Like, this business, big business, they just
It's
view
just
the
a
customer.
general daily.
They just
As
view, yeah.
someone who is a waiter himself, yeah.
Yeah.
Most guests are just
mouths to be fed.
yeah.
They're just no.
Well,
They're
no,
just
not
mouths to be
because
fed and money
I
to
am
come.
very talkative, so I really like to converse
But we're
with,
not like
with
Arthur. We don't see these people as who they.
I
No.
think some people
We
do.
see them
and it's
how they
higher
truly
class
are.
as well. That's what I get back at it.
yeah.
Yeah, but isn't in some ways the truth? Like, some big corporate business just see people as consumers,
Mhm.
not
Yeah,
as actual
yeah.
people. And that's like the same thing Arthur
I think
describes.
Arthur thinks that as well.
I'm just
That's why
a
I hate
consumer.
applied economics.
Yeah. I'm just a consumer. I'm just another mouth that they need to
Yeah.
feed, and not actually a real human being.
Yeah, not an individual.
Yeah, not an individual.
I'm just part of the
Mhm.
masses. So
Yeah.
that kind of idea.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on.
The woman, the
Yeah.
knight,
He was in
Nothing but
this
the knight.
the night. All right, now it's getting really good.
Yeah, now it's getting.
Now it's
So
getting
we
really
already talked
good.
about this girl who
Yeah.
got so
Yeah.
much words added to
Yeah.
her to make her
Yeah.
so vivid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and what the author described, what John Willis describes, she was a very beautiful woman.
Very
She was black.
She was
No,
black.
no,
she was
not
dark
black,
brown.
She was
a
like this
hazel dark-
Eastern Europe, green-eyed, dark-skinned, black-haired.
Trina?
Yeah, I thought she had green eyes. Green eyes.
What darker skin and green
Yeah,
eyes? That's a very
golden, like
exotic
dark-
combination.
Yeah, just like those.
Maybe it was the alcohol.
Maybe it was
Could
the
be
alcohol.
But it was definitely an exotic girl.
Yeah, definitely.
Quite,
She was from Bohemian descent.
Yeah, Bohemian, and
Yeah.
that is. I googled it, but I can't recall what
Try
actually
it.
Bohemian means. I'll just look it up very
Let's see,
quickly.
try it
Bohemian.
Yeah.
Bohemian is like Czech. Oh, we're back. Like the Czech Republic, like that in that area.
No.
Bohemian,
Yeah.
Czech Republic, and kind of those Eastern Europe.
She was beautiful.
Well, it's just
Beautiful in each of our minds.
she was
Yeah.
beautiful.
I think so. I think the
And she
writer
was
did a
very
great job.
drunk.
Yeah, and she was very drunk.
Beautiful and very drunk.
Yes.
All right,
But,
so he's
um,
in this.
Yeah, I feel like we could
Flop.
skip all the superficial because this
Yeah,
part
this
has a lot of different
yeah.
sub. So yeah, like undertones. I mean,
Mhm.
different things are being said, different things are being met. But I think we
But-
could skip the whole flirting
Yeah,
part.
that
You
is
know,
but
the
I
way
do
he
want to
catches
mention
and gaze.
doesn't really.
That Arthur, so there's this girl, and let's just quickly get through it.
Yeah.
There's this girl in the distance. He sees her. They meet eyes. Their eyes meet. They meet eyes.
Yeah.
He died,
They
their-
trade gazes.
yeah.
Yeah,
Your
there-
gaze is locked.
Yeah.
Their eyes meet, and she somehow got very close without him realizing it.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, 'cause
And they started flirting, and he finds himself in a situation dancing with her, and then
Mhm.
realizing himself that he is one of the
this,
puppets.
he's also
Yeah,
a
I
puppet.
loved it. I loved it
That's
so much.
Such a great moment.
That's
yeah.
a great moment.
Such
He
a
Of,
good
suddenly
moment.
is participating
Mhm.
in the
dance.
common
Yeah.
what we could-
normal people
with
were-
the normal with the simpletons.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Suddenly he is a simpleton himself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And he was kind of enjoying it, if I
Mhm.
if I recall correctly.
Yeah, and he was
Definitely. No,
drinking,
immediately
enjoying
he did. Yeah.
He was having a good time because he also stated it himself.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of the first times he actually had fun.
Yeah.
He's actually enjoying himself.
And she said the same. She was
Yeah.
also very mysterious.
She was
Mm.
also very mysterious.
Yeah, a guy left her behind, so she
Yeah,
was
she was with another
definitely
guy.
ready to find someone else.
Yeah. The way she gets because he said he won't leave her behind, but in a
Mhm.
sense he did, or had to in the
Yeah,
end.
he did something.
He did
All right.
something very-
Now they sit in the dining. They sit on in the club. They're seated on
Nightclub,
the couch. The nightclub. They're seated on the couch, and then Folita, the danceress.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah,
everybody's talking about.
So this girl who's named Claire,
yeah.
Yeah,
which is important because
Claire. Yeah, the women. The women.
I just have to.
yeah,
Okay, so yeah,
the girl Max mingled with, her name was Claire, and in this nightclub there somehow was this act.
yeah, there was this
Everybody
band
was
playing
expecting for
orchestra.
this
Yeah.
orchestra, and there was one dancer, Folita, who everybody knew, everybody came to see. This
Yeah.
very
But Arthur did
beautiful,
Yeah.
great performer.
Wasn't she sort of a ballet dancer? Or
Yeah,
is it
it's
an
a sort of
exotic
dancer,
dancer?
exotic
exotic.
performer,
With lots of
dancer.
tattoos.
not. I think sexual.
Yeah,
Sexual,
sensual.
yeah,
Sensual.
something lustful.
Sexually.
Yeah, like
Sex.
very erotic, erotic
Sexy
dancing.
lady.
Yeah.
Sexy lady.
All right.
This is the first time that it's us two participating in such a conversation, and you are not.
Yeah, normally it does.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're becoming such a grown-up. No.
Yeah.
I'm Terry.
Must be.
Let's get back to the
Okay.
book.
All right, and then Folita, the dancer, does her act. And suddenly the act comes to an end, and Folita finishes her act up on the table in front of Max.
No, very close.
Yeah,
Few
just in
feet
front of
from-
Oh,
Max.
in front, not on the table.
No, just a
it's
feet from the
nevertheless
table. Close,
just
very close.
Very close.
And their faces locked. their
Yeah,
eyes meet.
tell us about that, Max.
And at that moment, Max, who was very drunk, he looked at Folita's face, and then suddenly his memories came back to him. He started to get this vision, this hallucination again.
What did Arthur see in
Well,
this
Yeah.
girl?
I don't know.
Because I remember.
There's a reason for him reminiscing.
I think he saw something of his mother
Yeah.
in her face. And then he came back to the moment, the whole situation when the conflict between his mother and
Mhm.
father happened. So once again he goes into this dream state, and he sees the whole house in front of him, and all the memories, the smell, the taste, everything comes back to him. And he sees himself as a little child sleeping in his bed. In his bed.
I think you're quite missing something.
Yeah, just
'Cause-
just fill me in.
Because he sees his mother's face without even being his mother. So he recognizes that this is Folita and not his mother. But
Yeah.
then starts getting back at these memories he got.
Mhm.
But there was a moment I felt cheated to death.
Yeah,
Because
tell us about it.
this book, I mean, like, I felt so cheated because he has this memory, and then it's like a new chapter starts, and he's back on the street,
Yeah.
going home. I was like, no, you got to be kidding me. Is this all not true then?
Back on the street going home.
You don't know what I'm telling?
Yeah, because I'm not sure, because that from that point on, I wasn't sure what was the dream and what wasn't anymore.
No, you couldn't
Yeah.
separate reality.
I'll find the page. It's very clear.
Well, what I remembered is that when he looked into that woman's
it's this.
face.
So the book ends at
Which page is it on?
90.
Page
He was not half crouching above a table in a hot nightclub, for none of this existed. It was only a nightmare of the present, and suddenly it was gone, and he was transported back to his own reality.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then
Therefore his eyes was the sweeping terraced lawn and the long drive lined with maple trees. So I felt like he was back
on the street.
on the street
Yeah, but
getting
he
home.
was.
Yeah.
No, but he wasn't. He was back in his old house where he
Yeah,
spent
I
his
get that
childhood.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought
That was how I
back
was
in his
referring
own
to.
reality that the whole
Yeah.
thing was just
A dream.
yeah,
Because
a
he
dream.
was maybe
Yeah.
drunk or looking at something
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
distance.
But that's why I was so very confused, because at some
Mhm.
point when he gets his name gets called again, he's suddenly back in the
Yeah.
club,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then they go home.
And I was very happy that happened, because I thought this was all not reality. The nightclub did not happen.
That
And
was
then
very
I was so happy to read that his name
Yeah.
got called and Claire was actually
Yeah.
talking to him.
Yeah,
I was
and
like,
he
yes,
came back,
I'm so
and he
happy.
came back to consciousness.
I was so happy
yeah.
that he got back.
But
Yeah, otherwise everything.
right now we are
nothing.
getting to. So who wants to describe?
Yeah.
Well, I
So,
liked
I
it.
mean,
Well-
I'll just listen. I just want to fill in.
Yeah, you just fill in. I'll just try.
I feel like I've been when I've been talking that I've been talking a lot. So
Yeah. No, it doesn't matter. We all.
it does matter
Yeah,
for
it
this podcast.
Yeah, it does matter, but in general, we all been talking quite a
Yeah,
lot.
that's true.
So, Shall I just give it a
Yeah,
try?
sure.
Yeah.
Alright, so he's back into his memory, into his dream state.
Are you gonna read it? The exact part where it happened?
No, because it's way too much to read.
I don't think so.
It goes over.
The moment itself.
Yeah, the moment itself, that not, but I can
I
just
think
describe
it would be also good to read the moment itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's might be it might be a bit long, but still, it's
Because it's at the moment that he's in bed and
Yeah.
thinking he hears the piano, but
Yeah.
he doesn't.
yeah
That
No,
moment.
he's supposed to hear the music.
yeah
Because every time he hears the music and the music ends, then he hears his mother coming upstairs to kiss him goodnight.
yeah
It's basically the routine. But this time, it didn't occur.
goes very very different.
Very different. So Arthur is laying in his bed, waiting for his mother to kiss him goodnight.
Yeah.
But it taking quite a while. So he starts listening, and suddenly he hears
These muffled.
these muffled sounds.
Argumentative
This,
sounds.
yeah, argumentative sounds that apparently is a conversation between his mother and his father.
Yeah.
So he's getting curious, but deep down inside he knows he shouldn't go there, but still decides he goes. So he goes to the room, then he's getting closer, and he hear it. He hears the sounds more clearer.
Yeah, yeah.
Every time he approaches.
They seem less muffled.
Yeah, it's less and
when he
less
gets
muffled.
near, yeah.
He's getting closer, and everything's become more vibrant, more clear.
Yeah.
Until the point he got to the point that he's standing in front of the door, and he decides to open it.
Yeah.
He thought about it. He's feeling sad. Don't do it. You shouldn't be supposed to do this. You're supposed to be in bed.
Yeah, he was very uncertain.
He was very uncertain. So he opens the door and he sees his mother, his father standing against the wall.
Are we not reading it?
Oh yeah, sure. Do you have the page for you?
I'm looking for it.
Well,
Jesse already read the back side. I read a small part.
yeah, you
So I
should. You
guess
should
we're
read. Yeah,
letting
just-
him read it.
yeah, read. You should read. You read the
The
situation.
next part of this audio podcast will be brought to you by
Man, oh, the man
the man.
was reading a page from Nothing But the Night.
Okay. For he remembered the room where the sound came. He remembered without knowing how the memory came to him. Knew what he would find, what he would see, when he entered that room. But even with that dreadful previous knowledge, with a certainty inside him, he could only walk towards the door, his small bare feet sinking in the thick rug, drawn forward by a sanguine magnet of terror. He could distinguish the voices quite plainly now. He could hear the articulation of words. He could recognize syllable, each tone. But the words themselves were meaningless, and he could not understand them. It was almost as if there were foreign sounds, formed by foreign lips. As he stood momentarily immobilized in the center of the room, the sound crescendoed. The hideously angry phrases of his mother, the pleading cadence of his father's voice, blended in desperate roar that sounded and resounded, and echoed in his hearing's cave. The door which separated him from the voices was closed, but a thin line of yellow light crawled into the darkness from a small crack at its bottom. Then he was standing there, his hand upon the knob. A spasm of trembling threatened to dislodge his grip, but he steadied himself, and softly and quietly, in the midst of that violence, he turned the knob and opened the door. When the door swung inward before his hand, and the light streamed out to bathe him yellowly, an utter ominous silence filled that room, as if the opening of the door were a prearranged signal. Yet neither his mother nor his father was aware that the boy stood framed in the entrance. They were caught in a fatal web of their own spinning, and no other could disentangle them. First he saw his father. He was huddled abjectly, with his back against the wall. His arms flailed the air before him with futile slashes. Little animal-like sounds of a whimpering streamed from his pale lips. But even his wordless panic, there was upon his face, almost obscured by the abortive terror, an expression of blank impersonal horror, dawning comprehension, and transcending pity, whose object was not himself, but the figure mirrored in his eyes, the boy's mother. No, not his mother. It was the same body, slight and beautiful, clad in white dress he loved so well. The same pale crown of hair rested on the proud head, and features were the ones he had known. The lips were the ones he had so often caressed his face. The eyes, those orbs, denied the evidence of all similarities. He had never seen those eyes before. They were mad, writhing things, which danced and glowed unceasingly. Unbelievably incongruous in the serenity of the surrounding flesh. She stood motionless, her slim back pressed firmly against the opposite wall, looking at the boy's father, her husband. She did not speak. In her hand was a gun, unbelievably huge and black and sinister in the small, pale, caressing fingers that it held.
Oh my God.
And at that instant all of his very old and familiar to him. A thing he had seen and known in some previous life. And the horror which constricted his throat and would not let him speak. That, too, was old and familiar, and futile as the dream in which he forever lived. Everything seemed to happen with impossible slowness. He saw his mother's fingers tighten. He saw the gun jumped widely twice. Then quick puffs of flame and smoke issued from the barrel, and he heard two reports, sharp and flat, as if someone had slapped two boards together with two distinct, almost imparable blows. Several blows. He saw his father's body jerk spasmodically, this way, then that. Heard him gasp for his breath, then groan uncontrollably, as if two giant hands powerfully pressed his lungs, then realized their hold, allowing the air to come back sharply. The boy turned his dull, unbelieving stare upon his mother. The serenity of her face was gone, destroyed, and in its place was a deeply exultant, mad, fierce ecstasy. He could not tear his eyes away from that face, gown suddenly strange and unknown. It swelled in his vision, menacing and insatiable, threatening to devour with its intensity all it saw. The grotesque mask lasted only for a moment. Then it fell apart, and the contorted face smoothed out, and all through the mad things, all written in her eyes, there was something new, some desperate, sane courage, like his father shining through, some steely determination which could not be obscured by the madness. The bare teeth disappeared as she relaxed her lips. The mouth, perfect mouth, opened slowly. She swung the gun up slowly. She inserted the still, smoking barrel into her mouth. He heard the muffled report and saw the head jerk backward. The slight body toppled to the floor and lay there, white, incredibly small and relaxed. And feeling returned to him, but before it came, he was numbly aware that his father had stumbled across the room, was gasping hurried words into the telephone. Then he screamed. Dimly he heard his father's voice, a surprised, muffled ejaculation through pain, as he was discovered for the first time in the room. But he was past heeding, past caring. He screamed and screamed, dug his fist hard into his eyes, as if he might tear away the image of the wild face which was now ineluctably part of him and his memory. Then he heard from an impenetrable distance his father gasping, pain-filling voice, talking to him, pleading with him. He felt his caressing, soothing, heavy hand upon his shoulder, felt a placing movement that tried to comfort him. He opened his eyes. He saw his father as he knelt before him, his face furrowed in agony, one arm pressed tightly against the torn chest. The boy looked at the hand which grasped his shoulder, a hand he had once known, and as he looked the horror doubled and came back to him, for that hand was covered in oozing blood, and he felt the hot dampness of it, as it seeped through his clothing. He screamed again, struck out in blind fear at his father's averted face, tore himself from his clutch, and ran senseless desperation until he in the great Red Sea, which swam before his eyes, was obscured by merciful darkness, until he himself was swallowed by darkness, until he was nothing and felt no more.
Yeah.
And there you have it. And there
That
you
was
have
quite
it.
the read.
Yeah, that was.
Thank you, Benno.
Sorry for it taking
No,
so
no,
long.
no.
But I do feel
it's
the
just
same shit again.
Yeah, it's
Fuck,
coming
this
back
will
to
come
me.
out.
It's coming back
Alright.
to me. Oh my god, that was intense. Well, there you have it.
There you have it.
But that's
Yeah, there
not
you
the
have
only.
it.
This is not the only climax of this book.
No,
Because there is still something
Another.
this
it's
is not
interesting
even the
that's
ending
happening. This
just
is not
yet.
even the ending. But now we finally know
What happened?
what happened between mom and dad.
Yeah, I was so.
Oh my gosh.
during the book, I was thinking his father had killed his mother.
The
Yeah.
whole time. The whole time.
The thing is, the point at which she shot the father, and
Twice.
she shot her twice.
Twice. Yeah.
Just for good
She
measure.
shot herself. Wasn't the thing that made the most impact, but the whole build up towards him opening that door, because at some point
Yes,
the author
talk
describes that his feet sunk deep into the carpet in front
Yeah,
of the
the
door.
rug.
Mm-hmm.
And that very specific sentence got to me very, very vividly, very vibrantly, because
Yeah.
I could feel. I felt so small at that point because my grandparents had this rug, which I remember. I don't know why I thought of this rug, but I thought of this very specific rug. It's a bit of a Persian rug.
Mm-hmm.
And I remembered how it felt like being 8 years old or
Yeah.
younger, and having such small feet still,
Mhm.
and walking towards the door, having to reach
Mhm.
up for
Yeah.
the door handle, and I felt how it was such a. I felt as if I was shrinking into the carpet.
Yeah.
But growing
Yeah, I know
in front
exactly
of the
what you
door
mean,
at
yeah.
the same time,
Yeah.
like you can't, like
Yeah,
you
reach-
see your hands
you
getting
literally
closer,
See it
and
in front of
you
you
keep getting
Yeah.
closer towards
Yeah,
that handle, but you're not reaching
You can't
it.
reach it. Yeah, this is the same exact way I felt when he described his childhood. When he went back to the house, when he saw himself running in the grass and laying with his mother
Yeah.
near the brook.
Book.
No, brook. It's like new, different word for river.
Brook.
Brook.
Yeah,
brook. I learned something new.
You learn something new
Learn
every day.
something new. Don't hit your eyes.
It was on my nose.
You know, it was your nose. You look like it went in your eyes.
I went like right here.
But
Don't play with your earbuds.
yeah, I kind of had the same thing, except for me it was that moment that he describes his mother first as the beautiful young lady that she was, and then when she
Some
actually
kind
killed
of
his
monster.
his father,
Yeah, and
then saw nothing of that familiar face.
the whole.
I mean, that's so describingly good.
It's
Yeah,
so
that's
good.
very
Yeah.
good.
Oh
yeah.
my god!
Just the
it's
estrangement.
that's the part where
Yeah.
I teared up.
He
Actually.
gets so
That's my
estranged
moment.
from his
Mhm.
mother in such
'Cause-
in like 2 sentences, 2 perfect
'Cause
sentences.
her
His whole
mo-
image
yeah.
crumbles down.
Her mother is like this golden angel very beautiful,
Yeah.
kind and loving.
And why do you think
Parents.
that
The
is?
whole time,
And,
it's
yeah.
as if she's being held up on this
Yeah,
pedestal.
yeah,
You think that must be such
exactly.
a good lady.
such
She
a,
must be such a victim of
Mhm.
something.
and then
And
like in
this-
one split second, everything disappears.
But why
The
do
whole
you?
pedestal collapses, and she's this evil.
Why do you?
Yeah, just to make more impact.
Why do you guys think that it's this way for Arthur? Because I have a reason.
Well, if I look at from a psychological point of view, I mean, the memories are definitely repressed.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps this repression and perhaps a way of coping with it
Yeah.
would be to switch the roles, make his father the bad guy and his
Mhm.
mother the victim, and that somehow that lie would help him
Mm-hmm.
cope
Yeah.
with it because his father is alive. So I guess
Yeah.
you could say because he is alive, you could sort of blame him because you can still
Yeah.
speak to him, you can still hold him accountable, and his mother isn't there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So you will never know what drove her to do it. So it would be
Mhm.
easier to do it with somebody who can
Yeah.
still communicate.
I think there's a different reason,
Right, explain it to
and
us.
that is because I think his father was away always, and I think his mother is his only memory.
Mm.
I think his mother is the girl who played the piano. I think his mother is the girl who always brought him to bed.
Yeah.
I think
So
the memory of his father. So he must
And-
have drove her to do it.
I want to.
Yeah.
No. I know. I
What?
see what you mean. I know what
I
Mel
don't
means.
just yet. Who?
Okay,
Hold on, let me.
you refresh my thoughts.
Let me come into the story. And I think that is. You mentioned like his father. The father was always away. He was never there for the family, and he was always working and didn't give any attention and love to his son and his mother. And I think that is also the reason why the mother did what she did. That she
Could be.
shot him and
It definitely
and
could.
killed herself because she couldn't take it anymore. She's always
Yeah.
alone, he's always away, and she was just driving her mad.
Yeah.
And what Menno meant by all those good memories, because
They were only of
his
mom.
mother, Arthur's mother,
Only.
Oh,
she was
yeah, no.
she was always there. She was through his childhood. She was always there for him.
Yeah.
she's
Yeah,
the
I
He
only
remember-
thing
he
who was
remembered
there.
playing with his mom.
Yeah.
He remembered her
And he
putting
kept-
him to bed every night. He
Yeah.
remembered her playing the piano.
She
Yeah.
was always
Where's
there
he,
for
where
him.
is his dad?
And
Yeah.
nowhere to
his father wasn't there for him. So,
Yeah.
and I think he sees his mother in such a good way is just to confirm him that his mother wasn't a bad woman,
Yeah.
wasn't a
because
bad person.
I guess it's kind of how I mean, it's kind of because I think we're kind of on the same track, but
Yeah.
you back it up better than I did,
Mhm.
or I mean that would be more
Different, in a
of a
different
confirmation
way.
of what I
Yeah.
think because
Mm-hmm.
perhaps it's not because it's easy, but because his father was never there.
Yeah.
He had
I
to
think your
cope
reasoning was
somehow.
different.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
got
he had to
somehow.
cope somehow.
Yeah.
So he started about all the good things,
Yeah.
and if you can only remember the good things about your mother,
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you
What
can only
remains-
remember your mom.
Yeah, what remains? And
Yeah.
what if you only can remember your mother? And basically, he just puts this false image in front of him that his mother
Yeah.
was always this angel, this
yeah,
this
Yeah,
this
that's
good
why
person.
I think he thinks
Yeah.
that she was an angel.
yeah, because it's easier to remember somebody as an angel than as
It's
what
better.
she did.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I meant
Mhm,
by
yeah, but
blaming his
coping,
father
yeah,
is
and
easier to
coping,
cope with.
Yeah, to cope
And
with.
I also think that because Arthur was this young that it happened, his father can actually try to move along, Because he's an adult, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
He's an adult. He will
And-
be able to cope in a different way, in an adult way.
Yeah.
And Arthur Maxley obviously couldn't because he was
No,
8 or
yeah,
something.
Yeah.
he was a child. His
Mhm.
brain wasn't developed enough to deal with the
Yeah.
situation. And that's where the whole trauma came from, and that's
Mhm.
what made him who he is today.
Yeah, but
Still searching. for
also
results.
look at the information that we've got so far. We don't know. We can speculate,
Yeah.
but we don't know why the mother
No, this
shot
is-
his father.
no,
but
this-
we do know that the father is traveling a lot, and
Yeah.
isn't that for itself?
Yeah.
So for us also, it's
We don't even
easier
know. Yeah,
to,
it's easier. Yeah.
to blame the father
Yeah, of
for
course. It's
anything,
written out of
or to
Maxley's-
presume that
Yeah.
he is the bad guy because
Mhm.
he wasn't there, and we have all these memories of his mother
Mhm.
who was there. So it's a very
And-
complex.
And we don't
Yeah.
even know if all of this is
Maybe
true.
another
Because this
book
is
would-
just our thoughts and our perception of the
Yeah.
story. We don't even know if it's true. The author
That's how we perceive
could also
it.
Yeah.
the mother could also be a drug abuser or something, and she just gone crazy mad and shot his father. Yeah, we don't know. This is just all speculation, as
Yeah,
Olaf
definitely.
mentioned. All right, this was one climax. Shall we go to the final,
last
to
one,
the
the
ending,
final.
the final climax?
I do have to pee.
Yeah,
We'll make
I
a part
also
3.
All right. It's done. We'll
Yeah.
see you in part 3. A small bathroom break. Pee-pee break. See you soon. Nothing but podcast.
Ooh, yeah.
And we're back to our last and final chapter of this book review.
Review. Are you reviewing it? Shit.
Well,
Shadoodles.
you were
Right.
so we were sort of reviewing it.
Yeah. So we're
just
at.
discussing.
We just had the big moment for Max or Arthur Maxley himself, and now
What was that?
Now-
Yeah.
Nothing.
now
You
we're going
want to
to.
enlighten us with that? Yeah.
Okay. So let's get back, guys.
Yeah. Just
We're thinking about. Well, we're at the part that he actually comes back from his nightmare. That's only in his own mind because Claire calls out his name and asks if he liked Violeta.
Yeah.
Volita.
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 yeah.
Violeta.
Volita.
Volita.
He isn't getting violated by anyone.
Volita.
He ends up.
So he says, yeah, sure, I
Violated
like it, I
someone.
like it. And nobody really knows what happened in his head.
Mm-hmm.
They go out of the dining room, out of the nightclub, and they get into a cab.
No, I'm going to interrupt you shortly, because I think you're missing a important detail.
Yeah.
Because when Arthur got out of his nightmare, his dream, his vision, he had a shocked look on his face, and Claire noticed that, and she asked if he was alright. He's feeling well.
Yeah.
And he started to say, like, he started to get feeling sick.
I have to get out.
Yeah, I have to get out
Yeah.
of here because it was just getting too much for me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that was the moment leading up to them leaving the nightclub.
Yeah, that was the reason.
But go on.
That's true.
on
So
the
so
right
they leave the nightclub. They get into a cab because Claire said, "Let's go to. Do you want to go to my house? Do you want to come with me?" And well, Arthur, like before this happened, Arthur felt very in love. I think very
Yeah.
gone with the moment.
Mm-hmm.
His emotions, at least this, he also stated that himself in his memories, that the alcohol intensified his emotions a whole
Yeah.
lot. Oh yeah.
And I think also that that he sees himself as a puppet is actually him trying to be normal
Yeah.
instead
Yeah.
of seeing everything from a third person view and now experiencing love, experiencing flirts.
I 3/4, or I have agree with that because, but I also felt like he felt sort of in control because he was doing, or he was doing all this for the first time.
Yeah.
He was completely out of his comfort zone.
Yeah, he was experiencing something new.
Yeah.
He felt something he had never
Mhm.
felt before.
Yeah.
So.
But he was very consciously aware of the fact. Yeah. So that's where I agree with the puppeteer part. That he was very conscious about the fact that he was experiencing all of this, and that it was not like his normal behavior, and that he was quite consciously. What are you doing? Oh, it's my hair. Okay,
It's a white hair.
a
Your
white hair.
is distracting him.
Uh-huh.
You're getting grey.
Getting
Getting
grey.
grey already.
No, it is not grey hair. Is it?
No.
No.
Well,
Well,
Anyway,
let's
so-
go on. We're easily distracted.
And we continue. 4 minutes, and we're talking about my hair. No, but he's very. I felt like he was very consciously taking decisions that he normally wouldn't take, but primarily probably also due to the amount
Yeah.
of alcohol.
Yeah.
And
That was
the
in the
beautiful
system.
women.
Yeah, and the beautiful woman.
Mhm.
She was a beauty.
So yes.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
continue.
And they got in the cab. And no, she said, "Would you like to come
to my,
to my
place,
apartment?" That's where tensions were rising. That's
Yeah.
where, that was
So-
literally the part when I went and when I said behind my book,
Yeah. I
like,
think also.
yes, boys,
So-
something's going to
Well,
happen.
you kind of feel for the guy.
Yeah,
you
you feel
think,
for
yeah,
him. You want
let him have this
Yeah.
experience.
Let him get lucky, man.
Yeah,
Let him
but
have
like
some
in the
fun.
cab ride home as well, what the writer also describes almost most beautifully is like the situation, like him with his head on the shoulders of the
Yeah.
girl, then her tightening.
Touching of
Yeah.
the flesh and
It was
sensation.
also because it's quite obvious this all leads up to them being in her room
Mhm.
and her standing naked in front of him at some point. But yet
Yeah.
this moment did not feel perverted. It
no,
was
no,
just
it was
written-
genuine.
And it
But-
never
yeah.
was.
Natural.
It never was
Because you
perverted, no.
you
Yeah.
had this writer who had so much detail and also mentioned that Arthur thought it was nothing sexual. It was
it was so pure,
pure, beautiful,
Yeah.
and
natural.
yeah,
What? Yeah.
nothing perverted.
Yeah,
He-
no,
I
just
think
like
he literally mentioned. that.
what men and women are supposed to do when they like each other.
Yeah.
Like this mutual feelings, not
And
that
and
somebody took advantage
at the
of.
table, she had her hand on his leg, or the other way
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
And
she-
he and it was
supported
like
him.
and it was like he said to himself, "There's nothing more needed of that moment. It's
Yeah.
just them
This
touching
is all,
what
yeah.
is."
Yeah, he,
all he
he
needed.
didn't want anything. He didn't need. I'm not sure what he wanted, but
Well,
he didn't need.
We could get
anything.
back at that. So in the cab, they again are very close. You
Mhm.
see Arthur, trying to cope maybe.
Yes.
Thinking about it
He
a lot.
also tries to figure out his whole situation that he ended up in.
And so they get out of the cab, and you hear Arthur saying that he is not anymore intoxicated.
No.
Yeah.
He's somehow.
He's somehow out of
is,
the.
is out of his.
No.
fairly
Trans-
close-
What I recall is he was left with only the warmth ecstatic feeling, but his speech wasn't impeded anymore.
Mm-hmm.
He felt like as if he could reach the words and his thoughts were very clear,
Mm-hmm.
but just the warm buzzing effect was still there or
Mm-hmm.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
true.
Or something, no, exactly that.
And so they had to get to her apartment.
Yeah.
She invited him in.
She invited me in,
And-
but he couldn't turn on the light. He wasn't.
No,
allowed to turn
I'm
on the actually light.
just before that. So she lived
Oh,
in an
yeah.
apartment on the second floor,
Mhm.
and so they had to get upstairs. She told him to be silent
Mhm.
because she didn't want to wake the other people.
Yep.
Now we know why.
She
we know
got
why she would.
uh,
she wouldn't want to wake up the neighbor.
she got into the room. Maxley, out of just sheer normality, would try to find the light switch,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but she stopped him.
Yeah.
And then
For whatever
I'll give
reason.
the turn to Olaf to
She's getting
to-
quite
to
distracted.
tell us what happened at that
Yeah.
moment. So
What
So what
happened?
happened at that moment? A
Arthur.
lot.
Arthur stopped.
Yeah, so
Trying
he of course
turn
he
on.
stopped to turn on he stopped trying to turn off the lights, and for a brief moment he was left alone in his thoughts.
And in the darkness.
Yes, and in
Yeah.
the dark. And well, because she says no, wait, just wait here, because he wanted to roam around, but then he remembered the command she had given him, so he stayed put.
Mhm.
And at some point, this was all in a very short time, he notices her again as the moon is for just a split second, the moon is exposed, and thus it shines its light
Mhm.
into the building, and he sees the
I would say angel-like.
of course he
Beautiful,
sees her.
Beautiful reflection of the
Yeah,
woman
yeah,
standing in
because
front
because
of him.
she's standing in the light, so he suddenly sees her, and he also, of course, immediately notices that her clothes are dropped in just
Oh,
this
yeah.
heap on the floor,
Yeah.
and well,
Yeah,
Jesse,
it-
this
it-
is-
it
this
left
is more your
Yeah, it left me
expertise.
speechless too. It left me speechless
Yeah.
too. I was also in the book, and I had to pause for a moment, like, whoa, is this really happening? Is this really
But
happening?
you genuinely want him to
Yeah.
be happy.
Yeah.
And
You
he just screwed himself over
Yeah.
somehow.
He had
Yeah.
such a rough,
yeah,
such a rough life, and you would just grant him this moment of pure ecstasy in the art of making love. You just give like, go on, lad, let's have it, man. And then what happened then?
What happened then?
I will tell
They
you.
got closer
Yeah,
and
they're
closer. And they
closer.
started. Well, they started embracing each other. That happened. They started
Well,
embracing
yeah.
each other. But
Yes.
then,
Then
Well, there's still
he was just like frowning upon her body. He was
Frowning
no, not frowning. Is that frolicking?
frolicking. Oh, frolicking.
That's what I meant to say. Frolicking.
And she was
Frolicking
whispering-
is like touching.
she was
It was just
Oh,
touching.
yeah, frolicking is.
Frolicking, yeah.
she was whispering words from a slight distance.
Yeah, like Arthur.
She was,
Arthur.
but he did not understand these words. He did
No.
not think of these words.
No.
More the warm ambiguity of the sound.
Yeah.
Using that word
Ambiguity.
But
Ambiguity.
Ambiguity.
so they embraced each other. Arthur was caressing and touching the back of her body, and he's touching his shoulders, and then the sudden darkness.
Ambiguity.
Ambiguity. I think there are two pronunciations for that.
Dubbelzinnigheid. Yeah, I did not
Alright.
use that word correct. Doesn't matter. Sounded
Yeah.
nice.
Shall I continue?
Yeah.
So, and then in that moment when they embraced,
And she whispered.
and
so-
she whispered Arthur, and yeah, they were bound to do the deed. But suddenly this immense darkness crawled upon his thoughts and this, like he wasn't himself. And then this is the moment that shocked all of us. He just raised his hand and he just slapped her 3 times.
Twice.
3.
I
No,
thought
3
5.
times.
What?
I thought
You
5
thought
times.
5 times?
I'm not
thought
sure.
twice.
I thought 3
I
times.
remember like he.
Well, we have to look it
I
up
thought
now.
2 were vividly described. The hand came down, and then I thought it said like and thrice more, and then
No, I thought he slapped the shit.
I don't know.
3
Somehow
times.
I thought
Like-
see.
That he slapped her 3 times.
I thought he slapped the shit out of her.
Yeah, but he slapped the shit out of her. She was bleeding.
Listen.
She was
In the
bleeding.
helpless moment before the floodgate burst, when some part of him knew and acknowledged that the bursting was inevitable, he felt almost abstractly a calm and all-encompassing regret which included not only himself and the girl who gripped before him, but everything he had ever known. Then his pity and regret were inundated and drowned as the flood made a final, impossible heave, and he knew that he had been finally destroyed. He knew that he now and forever lost, and the dark torrent rushed, and he went out of his body and rolled up and away. An irresistible part which was not himself saw Claire's face, that still was alone and pure in its halo of moonlight, her lips that still mouthed in the inarticulate little words of pleasure, and another last great sob-like cry was torn from his throat. The last remnant was gone, and he raised his arm, struck out blindly, savagely at her face, felt the back of his hand sink into the surprised flesh of the mouth, and before she could cry out, he struck again. He struck again and again.
So 4 times.
Yeah.
He hit
Until
her.
his arms flailed only the empty air.
So he
No,
hit.
keep reading because I thought there was one more.
No,
after
there wasn't.
that.
No. It was
No, because
4
I
times.
wasn't
That's crazy after
No,
all.
it's 4 times. And she
We were
fell
all
down.
wrong. We were all wrong.
She fell down.
So he slapped her 4 times and she just fell onto the floor. And that isn't the end, but this was the moment that shocked us all. Like,
Why do you think this
why?
happened?
Why does she hit him?
This boggled my mind.
Yeah,
I
it made
think
me
I know,
crazy.
Because of
Fine.
course frustration, but still.
Yeah, but still,
I
you
felt so misplaced.
Yeah.
I thought
It's
that
quite
the
a plot
trauma,
twist.
because it's such a extreme image, right? So he's working up to a moment that's destroying him, and as he tells it, it is destroying him. And I think that emotion, just he wanted to get off it,
yeah.
just get away from all the emotion that she had before him, and
Yeah,
just
it was,
get off it.
I think it was.
Get
It
off
was
it.
getting.
Get off it, and again.
Get off him 4
I
times.
just wanted to get off. Wait, what?
he had the opportunity to get off, but he didn't. make
He
use
didn't
of
want to
it.
do
No,
it.
I could have also gotten off. She was.
Yeah, but
No, he just
this,
didn't.
this.
I think he didn't want this sensual. He didn't want this
I
emotion.
think he couldn't.
He's
handle
trying
it.
to repress all his emotions the whole time, and
Yeah,
now
he's
for
getting-
once it has to come to it, and he can't. He can't.
Yeah, I found this really mind-boggling, because he gone through all the hassle, all the drinking, all the effort to connect with this
And he
girl.
was so nice to her as
And
well.
this girl was
Yeah.
such a lovely girl. She did nothing wrong to him, and what the book states, she was beautiful. And here, this Max, who paid some amount of money, quite a lot, finally got back to her place. He got out of this nightclub, and he
Oh yeah.
sees this beautiful woman standing in front of him in the moonlight, butt naked, ready to
Rumble.
rumble, ready to roll,
Yeah.
and you just hit her. And he's just hits her. He
I
just
think-
slaps the shit out of her. Why?
I think that's exactly just the sheer trauma that happened upon him.
Oh man, I went mad, and there was the moment when I sent the snap, the Snapchat.
This book, man.
Yeah.
I fucking hate
Fuck
this
Yeah.
book.
I just
Oh, you fuck this
couldn't
book,
deal
man.
with this situation.
Yeah.
I
I
was
got
happy.
emotional too.
But you did read through then.
Yeah, I had to take a brief moment
Yeah.
for myself, just to compose myself.
I was just wondering what would happen next.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
I read on, and he got what he deserved.
Yeah, so
He got
she
it.
cried out and somebody heard her.
Yeah, I heard a scream.
Yeah.
'cause
He
screamed,
opened the
screamed.
door.
Got his ass beat, basically.
And
Yeah.
so Arthur Maxley felt a hand upon his shoulder, a big broad hand, strong
Yeah.
hand,
A really massive,
deepening into his
strong
flesh.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That she did not acknowledge that he hit him, but it was very clear she had blood in
Yeah.
her mouth. Or
She didn't
something
want, because even in this moment of agony where she was lying on the floor and she was hit by him, she still somehow cared for him, that she didn't want him to get hurt.
No.
Because otherwise she would have
And-
said,
and-
yeah, that bastard, he hit me, beat him up. No, but she still
She
said,
was
no,
so
nothing
confused.
else. But
She
she
was
was
very
also
confused.
confused.
yeah.
So I felt like somewhere I feel like that was not the end between the two of them or something.
Yeah.
No, I
But then
think
the book
something could happen.
But like, so this guy was behind him. He would kick him out of the apartment because she
Mhm.
told him so.
Yeah.
The guy was
Yeah.
clearly going to beat him up, and
Mhm.
Arthur also knew this.
Yeah.
But I also want to mention the moment that he thought by himself to himself, I want to say this, I want to explain it, I want to,
I want to.
I want her to know what happened.
Yeah,
Yeah,
why
and he
I'm
also
feeling.
wanted to know her deepest secret.
Yeah,
Which I do too now because
Yeah.
she's also
No,
very
it-
mysterious.
but
Did it say that?
it,
Did
it
it
was
Yeah,
just say his
also-
own?
I don't know.
No, he
both.
wanted to
He
know.
wanted to
her-
explain it,
Yeah,
but he also wanted to know everything about her.
yeah,
Because
but
the
it'd probably be better to ask her first and then slap her.
It doesn't work like that.
No, it
man.
doesn't work. But
Like-
if you
like-
slap the girl, you cannot ask her, "Oh, how are you feeling now?"
You got Jesse just like, yeah, that he slapped me. I don't give a shit. I mean, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like he can hit her. I mean, if
No,
that's what
no,
he wants
no.
to do, sure.
No.
But the order, man, he should have just.
Okay, just to get it on record now, it is not in any way or means right to hit a woman. It isn't allowed. It is not.
She wants it.
No.
And if she's
Violence
into
towards
it,
women is not tolerated.
violence. Yeah, all right. Man.
Violence, any
If
shaming.
she has particular sexual fantasies in which she clearly stated that she in fact does want to be rough handled.
Yeah. Alright.
Then-
That's a whole different ball game. Whole different scenario.
No, ball game.
Ball game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in any way,
Then we discovered
But
Maureen
just-
does listen to this whole podcast.
yeah.
No. I found actually a part, and I think I'm right. He wanted her to know the inmost secrets of his life. He suddenly wanted her to have inside herself, but not part of herself. Everything that was inside him and part of him. Only then, having all those things, could she begin to know, to understand why.
Yeah.
And that's where it ends.
It would probably be
Yeah.
better if he
So
had
yeah.
not hit
Yeah.
her. Then you can
No,
say
but
this kind
it's
of stuff.
it's trauma,
after
so
you-
that definitely
Yeah.
works differently.
Yeah.
But still doesn't make it right to hit a
It's
woman.
like
He's still
uh,
a prick. he
what
got he
what
deserved.
if I just want to turn this around, just not about the book, but what if he goes home with this girl, we know nothing else about Maxley, just that he goes home with this girl. They start hitting.
Making love.
They
Yeah.
start making love,
they're
but
just
she
hitting off.
screams out furiously. She hits him in the head. She almost kills him, and he just gets away.
Like the the roles are switched.
switched, but extremely.
Yeah, so
and then-
so the girl starts hitting
and
the
then
boy.
out of the mind of the girl, we know that she was raped. Right? It's different.
Yeah, but it's different,
Yeah.
but it
It's
still
different,
doesn't
but- no, but it's
justify
like,
the hitting, the violence.
Well,
Well, because if you,
I don't really agree.
as the boy, if you are doing nothing wrong and you're being a real gentleman, and the girl suddenly hits you, it still doesn't make it right. The same way,
No,
it
but
doesn't make it right
you-
that Maxley hit Claire.
I would understand though,
Yeah, but
because
it doesn't
you're
do
back,
anything,
you're back
yeah,
in your mind.
but
You're
it's
back
still-
at that moment.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
You see, trauma
But it's
it
still-
recognizes a certain situation. It might just
Yeah.
be a bed and a boy, and from the trauma on, your instinct, because there's just a very powerful connection
Yeah,
by
I
a trauma.
understand.
So your instinct has this direct connection with the trauma. So your instinct is to start fighting or fleeing or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I think
It's
that's what
not-
makes
it's not reason.
Arthur as well.
It's not reason. It's
No,
it's
but it's still.
action. Just pure action. No reason at all.
No,
Would you
I
agree that
understand.
this is what happened to Arthur as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jess
He
is gonna
couldn't.
say something anyway.
Yeah, but he couldn't. I see what you guys mean,
No.
but it still doesn't make it right
No,
for him to hit the
of course.
woman.
Because it's not.
It's the same way. Like somebody's like, for example, I go up to a random guy and I start beating the shit out of him, and somebody says, "Yeah, why are you doing that?" Oh yeah, my mother killed herself when I was a child.
This is a
I'm
different-
traumatized.
different
I'm
moment.
traumatized. So I'm allowed
But
to beat
you
the
have
shit out
to-
of people. No.
You have to
Yeah, I
understand
know. I
that
know this
Arthur
whole
Maxley,
context. Yeah.
He did not want everybody to know that he had this trauma. He barely knows himself, but he
Yeah, I
wanted to
know.
know that this girl was not hit because something she did.
Yeah.
And I think therefore it's not obviously not her problem that she got hit. It's his problem.
Yeah, it's his problem. But
And
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not
it's
sure
so
what I'm
weird.
trying to
It's
say, but
so-
I want to say there's a difference
Yeah.
between actually hitting people regularly or hitting
let's
women.
Yeah.
In general?
Because the thing that's happened is he doesn't do anything wrong in the sense that he wants to hit her.
Yeah.
Like he
That's what I'm trying to say.
doesn't hit her because he wants to do her wrong.
No.
But
It just
the thing that goes wrong is he involves her into
Into
his
his
problem,
trauma.
into
Yeah.
his trauma, which is of course let's say these two individuals were to speak again. Of course, Arthur would have to apologize. Because
Yeah.
she had because he doesn't have to apologize for his trauma, of course not.
No, I
But
agree.
he should apologize for
Yeah.
He did hit her.
I think
Yeah,
he
he
she
did
got
hit her.
involved.
I think
That was
at
wrong.
least we all agree. But I just wanted the thing you said that made it the most sense. Like he did not want to hit her. I
Yeah.
think that's the
I
the
can
whole-
see that.
like big part of
Yeah,
of
he
why
did not want to hit
why
her.
it happened.
But some instinct deep inside of him, because of his trauma, made him hit her.
And I think it's a part of the moonlight hitting her face. I
Yeah.
think it's a part.
The moonlight hits
he
her
suggested
face,
that. Hey,
so he
something's hitting.
hits his
Oh,
face.
hitting! I see moonlight hitting face. I must hit.
It looks your face looks so beautiful
I-
with the moonlight hitting it. Let's see if my hand hitting it.
I
whether
think
that's
deep inside he knows his father isn't in the wrong in a way. I think
Yeah,
the
it's-
moonlight just remembered him of this angel-like appearance
of his
and
mother.
thought like, no, this isn't my mom. She killed my dad. She killed herself.
Yeah.
exactly. That's
Yeah,
I think that's
like
exactly.
that.
Some.
I still couldn't. I still find it hard to make sense
Yeah,
from
it's
it all, but
really
I tried
still,
complicated.
I try to.
It's
but
complicated.
still, I thought something like that too because it's a very beautiful woman. She's very angelic. So was
Wow.
her mother, and those two images somewhere collide.
Yeah.
That
Wow.
could be something. And,
now, at least, we now have some sort of insight
Yeah.
in traumatized boys and why they hit women. Why do women get hit?
Oh yes, I mean it.
So
No, I'm just
next
kidding,
time
man, I'm
we will
just
talk
kidding.
about
Jesse's issues.
why what was it? Why domestic violence is not your husband's fault, but it's yours. You should cope with it better. Your husband hits you because you are not
involved
guiding him
with your
properly
husband.
through
Yeah.
his traumas.
Do you guys want to end the book?
So
I think
he
we
is the
should end
victim.
this.
I would like Jesse to just tell us what happens next, and I want you
Yes.
to read the last, not page maybe, but like the last. Page.
Yeah, all right.
Last page, alright.
That's that.
For his speed reading practice.
Um,
Alright, so basically after Arthur
Hit.
slapped the beautiful women.
Mm.
Claire
Did
screamed
it-
out in pain, and then this big dude, this big neighbor, came to see what happens, what was happening, what's going on.
Right, let's see.
No, but you have to
No.
get to the part that he gets
Yeah.
outside. And
So this big dude grabs Max by his shoulders, and then he says, "All right, time. You should. All right, little boy. You shouldn't have done that, and it's time to go outside." So Max. No, Max. I keep calling him Max, but his
Arthur.
name
It's
is
Arthur.
Arthur
Maxley.
Max.
because his dad is called Hollis.
Yeah, Hollis Maxley. Yeah. So Arthur walks outside with this big dude, and the big dude basically beats the out of him.
The living shit.
The living shit. So he just hits him first.
And there was
Arthur hits the pavement. He gets up. He hits him again. His head hits the pavement again. Blood everywhere. Arthur gets up one last time. He full force punched him once more. Arthur gets unconsciousness with his hand on the pavement. Unconsciousness?
unconsciousness is
Unconscious.
adjective.
Arthur gets unconscious, and after a while he wakes up. He sees himself all covered in blood.
Yeah.
His hands are open, and then he decides to wander into the dark.
No, I don't have to read anymore.
Yeah, you do.
I do?
'Cause it's-
No.
Especially
Yeah.
like I think this part is very.
I'm gonna start from.
Yeah, sure.
So, he lifted curious hands and explored the raw open wounds of his face. Then, he got on his hands and knees. For a few moments he scrabbled over the sidewalk, looking for his glasses. He didn't find them. He pushed himself up, swayed dizzily for a moment, then regained his balance. Unsteadily, he began to walk down the long, narrow street toward where the darkness converged and there was no light, where the night pressed in upon him, where nothing waited for him, where he was, at last, alone. Period.
And
That's it.
so I this makes me think of the beginning as well, where
Yeah.
all these people are gathering around, so it's only darkness.
Yeah.
Nothing.
And
but-
one thing I would once again mention, I'm saying mention quite a lot.
Mansion.
Mention?
Mansion?
Mention.
A mansion. A mansion. No, but
House.
what I want to say is that that moment that he gets down with this girl. Gets down. Like this huge man takes him back to the stairs, and they
Mhm.
walk downwards.
Mhm.
And you see him thinking like, "Oh, I remembered we should be quiet,"
Yeah.
and that's such a weird moment.
Yeah.
But still so Arthur-like.
Yeah, it's so
Still
it's
so
him.
Arthur-like,
Yeah.
going in third person once again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's
I
very,
see myself
very. But that's
ascending
what he
stairs.
says from the
Stairs.
beginning on. Him in stairs.
Yeah.
The moment he walks the stairs, he always
He finds comfort, some sort of relief in walking
Yeah,
stairs.
it's because it's such a dulling moment. He
Yeah.
completely turns to the inside of his mind, to his thoughts, and he starts kind of hovering above himself. So even as he was being basically escorted, dragged down
Yeah.
the stairs, that he still took the time to think,
Yeah, about
to
his stairs. Yeah.
evaluate his
Yeah.
I think
choices.
I think this is the moment in the book after like the whole night that he finally is himself again. Not the
Mhm.
puppet, not the intoxicated
that is
guy,
kind of sane.
not the one with the emotions running all through him.
Yeah,
He's back
yeah.
And the
The
funny
most
thing,
serene form, actually. Yeah.
of himself,
yeah.
of what he has become to be,
So, yeah, Arthur.
became to be.
So we can all agree that Arthur has something with stairs. And the funny thing is, if you look at the cover of this book, it also contains a stair. Portrays a stair.
Exactly.
Yeah, I didn't even notice
Yeah,
it
no, interesting.
up until now. I just thought it was just some weird moon and some spiraling
It all leads up to the moon
graphics.
and back.
But
I thought
it's
it
a
was stairs,
stair.
but I added a couple of the stairs to the story stairs.
Yeah,
yes.
so now we know why it has a stair. on
And
the front
what
of
do
the
you think
cover.
is the night? Because for me, it's the moment his mother killed his father and killed herself,
Mhm.
or tried to kill his father.
Yeah, I think the night is just the total darkness that he's embedded in.
Or is he the night? The darkness.
No, I think the
No.
depression,
Flooded.
the trauma represents the night.
I feel
Night
like
represents
the night is in fact a very summative word for the darkness within himself, within what happened.
Yeah.
Because those happened on actual nights, and the book ends with the night.
Or-
I mean, even as it says, Arthur nights out rises towards the pitch of disaster. So a lot of traumatized or events that led up, or a lot of events that came out wrong were in the night. Which is a very superficial way of looking
Mhm.
at it, but if you look in the broader prospect, the whole thing of visual darkness and emotional darkness is very close together in this
Mhm.
book.
Yeah, it is. Or the night could also represent the only place where Arthur could be himself, where he could find himself, his sanity, like in the dark spot of
Yeah.
the night, is the only place where he could
Finally
find
be alone.
peace
Feels
or
at
be
home,
alone.
alone.
Feels
Or
alone, peace.
if you put a K in front of night,
He wasn't
you
very
suddenly
night-like.
realize this is in fact a very, very different Arthur.
Not
Medieval.
night. Yeah, King
And
Arthur.
that Claire was in fact Excalibur. But he couldn't bear the responsibility, so he
Oh.
broke Excalibur.
Yeah, he couldn't.
I think the
Yeah.
podcast is done.
Yeah, I think we're done too. Alright,
We gotta end it. Like,
yeah, how we are going to end it? We have to find an ending sound. This was Nothing But a Podcast. Thank you for listening and see you next time. Goodbye.